Chapter 76. Complete the main mission and capture the bubble fruit task. Reward, 10,000 points. Achieve gold achievement, food of righteousness. Achievement reward, 1,000 points. Li Ziming devoted himself to the food, and with Zhen Zhen teacher passing him soap bubble fruits, he kept eating them. Soon, Li Ziming's body returned to its original state, and countless energies began to accumulate in his body. At the same time, the S cells in his body were constantly transforming and increasing, and it was obvious that they liked the soap bubble fruit very much. His Sharingan also began to evolve, from double Megatama to triple Megatama, and was already able to use illusions. After eating so many soap bubble fruits, his weight reached about 1 ton, and his hair became much longer, with golden black hair that looked very elegant. Li Ziming then stopped eating, not because he was full, but because his Saiyan bloodline was enhanced. Achieved Silver Achievement, Bloodline Improvement 2. Achievement Reward, 100 points. Seeing this scene, Li Ziming also opened his personal panel, which he hadn't looked at for a long time, and checked his status. Host, Li Ziming, Takai, Gender, Male Age, 20 years old. Bloodline, Saiyan Elite Bloodline plus Gourmet Devil, Saiyan Giant Ape, 30%, Combat Power, 10W points, 78,492 number of times you can cross, 0 skills, 3 Megatama Sharingan, Shadow Clone Technique, Dimension Slash, King Fist, Artificial Moon, Trigger, Air Dance Technique, Qigong Wave, Giant Ape Transformation, High Speed Flight, Chi Sensing, Tail Attack, Nail Fist, Knife and Fork, Intimidation. Backpack, 100 cubic meters. Puffer Whale X. After looking at the personal panel, Li Ziming burst into laughter. It turned out that Saiyans had to be on the verge of death to improve their combat effectiveness. After drinking the century soup, his combat power has reached 1W. Now after recovering from near death, he has realized the power of food, upgraded his bloodline, and reached 10W+, and it is still increasing. Li Ziming was very satisfied. This was already higher than Vegeta's combat power when he first appeared, and was enough to deal with this crisis. With further training, his combat power will continue to increase, and it shouldn't take long to reach a normal combat power of 3 million. Now that he had almost finished eating, Li Ziming began to capture soap bubble fruits and put them into the system backpack. He can use it as an energy replenishment, or go back and try cooking it. After all, the taste of soap bubble fruit before and after cooking is very different, but his current cooking skills are still very rare. After collecting hundreds of them, Zhenzhen Town Normal School and Li Ziming flew back in the direction of Shilin Temple. After returning, I learned from the acting teacher Fan Qiu that they had been away for a week. Also, congratulations on completing the teacher's food practice. It looks like you'll be promoted to teacher's deputy soon. What do you mean? Those who are recognized by Zhenzhen Town Normal School and can follow him through the bubble road will be promoted. Hearing this, Li Ziming's eyes lit up. Although he had no interest in the position at Shilin Temple, it would not be impossible for him to be promoted. After all, the higher the position, the higher the status, and the more things you are exposed to, just like the internal affairs of ego, you may be exposed to all kinds of things. However, according to the development of the original work, except for the headquarters, the other branches of Shakurenji may face a catastrophe. With the strength of this part of the normal generation of Shakurenji, it may not be able to resist the invasion of Bishokyokai, and a solution will need to be found later. After resting for a night in Shilin Temple, Li Ziming went to Zhenzhen Normal School because he remembered something. Teacher, where is the island where we met? The fruits up there should be ripe soon. I want to go take a look. Oh, that island is in. After learning the coordinates of Hangar Ryla Island from Master Zhenzhen, Li Ziming flew in that direction. We flew southward and soon left the land and came to the ocean. After a few hours, we successfully found Hangar Ryla Island. I have to say, even if you get the coordinates, it's still too hard to find. Toriko can smell a hint of temperature in the vast ocean just by relying on her nose. It's really amazing. She is worthy of being the prototype of the devil's sense of smell. When they arrived at the place where they first appeared, they were surrounded by roasted whole pigs. Li Ziming went straight over, caught 3 of them, and started eating them. Capture a roasted whole pig and gain 3 points. It's still the familiar taste, still the familiar recipe, but I don't know if the familiar animals are still here. After putting the roasted whole pigs into the system backpack, Li Ziming ate the steaks while flying towards a nearby place. After sensing a wave, Li Ziming discovered 3 familiar auras, but when he arrived in front of them, he found that they were familiar bears but not familiar bears. It's because the colors of these 3 unicorn bears have changed. Their originally black hair has now turned into reddish-brown, yellow, and white. Hey! The 3 bears lying down heard the sound, looked over, and saw the black-haired gorilla. They were so scared that they ran away immediately. Am I that scary? He went up and gave the 3 bears 3 consecutive hits with his iron fist. Now the 3 bears were completely obedient and lay on the ground, doing whatever he wanted. Seeing this, Li Ziming took out some popcorn and said while eating, "Do you want to come with me? I will support you." The 3 bears smelled the fragrance and looked up, their saliva instantly flowing down. After all, it was the baby popcorn of the gourmet world. Even the beasts in the gourmet world couldn't help but eat it, let alone 3 little bears in the human world. Seeing their inner desire, Li Ziming directly took out a lot of BB popcorn and fed them. He called on the somersault cloud, carried the 3 bears, and while eating baby popcorn, he came to the top of the mountain where sweet fruits grew. The koala was still the same koala, but the fruits had only grown a little bit bigger. Come to think of it, he has only been in this world for a month, so it's normal that he hasn't grown out yet. He can just come back next time. Who knows, you might meet someone from that gang. Afterwards, Li Ziming and Sangsheng rode on the somersault cloud and flew towards home. Sangsheng's fighting ability was not good, so Swali could come to train him. A few hours later, he returned to his house. After being away for half a month, the house was still there. It was a blessing in disguise. I called Swali, Terry, and Nai Long over and introduced them to each other. They will be my future partners. Li Ziming then gave it to Swali, asking him to take the 3 of them to participate in hunting to improve their strength. By the way, he told them that they would be needed to guard the house in the next 2 or 3 months. After arranging the 3 bears, Li Ziming left. He turned around and looked at Komatsu, who was still making the century soup, but looking at the color of the soup, it was obviously almost transparent. Afterwards he went to check on Toriko. She was still eating and drinking, but it seemed like she was fine. After all, she had drunk century soup, so the side effects should be smaller. While Toriko is regenerating his arm, he wants to go back to the Dragon Ball world. It's time to hone his fighting skills. If the main theme of the food world is food, then the main theme of the Dragon Ball world is fighting. Chapter 77. Master System, spend 10,000 points to get a chance to travel through time. Minus 10,000 points number of crossings plus 1 Master System, travel through the Dragon Ball world. Consume 1 time of crossing, target, Dragon Ball world, please select the time node of crossing. Hearing this, Li Ziming was shocked. Is it possible to choose to travel through time nodes? But why didn't the system remind him when he traveled through? It's because you were about to die, and I helped you choose the most suitable node. Oh, thank you, System Master. Hearing this, Li Ziming recalled Frieza's energy bomb. He still can't forget that scene. However, although his current combat power is still not as good as Frieza's, he can barely reach the second form, and then unfortunately lose. The road to defeating Frieza is long and arduous. But as for which node to choose, Li Ziming was in a dilemma. Although he could choose the node when Whis and Beerus arrived, it was a bit too arrogant. According to the combat power at that time, if anyone came, he would be gone if he was not careful. After thinking for a long time, Li Ziming finally decided to choose the time when Raditz came to Earth, so that he would have enough time to become stronger, and he could train and become stronger together with the Z warriors. After all, what he lacks most now is fighting skills. Master System, then choose the time period when Raditz will come. Consume 1 time of crossing, target, Dragon Ball world. Li Ziming closed his eyes and opened them again, and he returned to the Dragon Ball world. However, what he didn't expect was that he didn't appear in space, but in a place with beautiful mountains and rivers. 2 words emerged in his mind, Earth. Li Ziming thought about it and realized that it was all thanks to the system. System, Heart. It has been detected that the 2-way channel has been opened. You can now travel through it for free. The time of the 2 worlds has been synchronized. Hearing the system's prompt, Li Ziming was surprised and delighted. He thought that this 2-way channel was the one he opened by traveling from the Dragon Ball world to the Gourmet world, and then traveling back from the Gourmet world. And it's free. I can travel back and forth in the future without having to accumulate points. It's such a wonderful thing. As for the synchronized time, Li Ziming felt it was okay, as the time in the two worlds could proceed simultaneously and it could also advance the process, but he still had two questions at the moment. Master System, can I choose the time node when traveling through time? Can I bring others through time when traveling for free? You can choose a time node, but you need 10,000 points. You cannot bring others with you during free travel. Bringing others requires 10,000 points. Li Ziming could accept this answer. After all, he had a lot of points and would be able to defeat strong enemies and gain a lot of points in the future. At that time, we can directly take the Saiyans to the world of gourmet food and eat to our heart's content. Wouldn't it be wonderful? After all, there are world delicacies in the universe chapter. And these are just these two worlds. In the future there will be countless worlds with protagonists waiting for you to get to know. Just as Li Ziming was imagining meeting the dimensional characters in the future, a scream caught his attention. He immediately flew into the air to check, and saw a child holding a piece of wood being washed away by the surging river. Achieve Gold Achievement, the strongest mixed blood Saiyan in history. Achievement Reward, 1000 points. Seeing this, Li Ziming immediately knew who he was. Isn't this Son Gohan? If he didn't study and practiced martial arts since childhood, even Jiren from the 11th universe would not be his opponent. Upon seeing this, Li Ziming immediately took action and rescued him. Okay, it's okay now. Wu, uncle, who are you? I guess I'm your relative. At this moment, Sun Wukong, who was riding on the somersault cloud, finally arrived. He also witnessed everything that had just happened. Gohan. Oh Do-san. Thank you for saving my son. Who are you and why can you fly? Achieved Platinum Achievement, the most diligent Saiyan in history. Achievement Reward, 10,000 points. Seeing the appearance of Sun Wukong actually triggered his first Platinum Achievement. Li Ziming was ecstatic, worthy of being the most hard-working Saiyan. Hearing his question, before Li Ziming could say anything, Gohan spoke up, Oh Do-san, he said he's our relative. When Sun Wukong heard this, he was very confused. He had never seen Li Ziming since he was a child, and his grandfather never said that he had other relatives. However, when he looked at Li Ziming, he also had an inexplicable sense of familiarity, as if he had seen him before, but he just didn't know where. May I ask who you are? This is not the place to talk. Oh, that's right. Let's go to my house for a meal. It's nearby. In this way, under the guidance of Sun Wukong, Li Ziming walked towards Baizai Mountain. At the same time, Raditz also came to the earth and began to look for Kakarot. Soon, Li Ziming and his friends returned to Baizai Mountain and saw Kikai, who was waiting for the father and son to come back for dinner. Achieve Silver Achievement, the wife behind Sun Wukong. Achievement Reward, 100 points. At this moment, Chi-Chi was stunned when she saw that 3 people had returned. How come Gohan came back with one more person? Gaku, this is... Oh, Kikai, he seems to be my relative. Well... Hearing this, Chi-Chi was confused. When did Gaku have relatives? Wasn't he an orphan, adopted by Master Son Gohan? She knew intuitively that things were definitely not as simple as she imagined. Why don't you just explain it briefly? Sun Wukong scratched his head as he spoke. He was also confused at the moment. Li Ziming smiled slightly when he saw this, and didn't say anything else. Instead, he moved the tail wrapped around his waist to prove that he did have a tail like Sun Wukong and Gohan. Ah, uncle has a tail too. Really? You have a tail too? Seeing Li Ziming's tail moving, Sun Wukong's family believed that he was a relative. After all, in their memory, only Sun Wukong had a tail. Although it was broken before, Sun Gohan was also born with a tail. After seeing the tail, Sun Wukong had many questions in his mind. For example, why did he stand up for me, why did I not know the whereabouts of my family, and why was he the only one who came to visit me after so long? And the most important point is the issue of address. They are called relatives, but how close are they? Well, since you are my relative, what should I call you? Let me think about it. According to seniority, you should call me Uncle Takaki. As for Gohan, just call me Grandpa. Chapter 78. Uncle. Grandfather. After hearing what Li Ziming said, Sun Wukong and Kikai were stunned. They really didn't expect that the young Li Ziming in front of them was actually of their parents' generation. Li Ziming saw a lot of delicious food on the table in the room. He thought they hadn't eaten yet, so he took out a roasted whole pig from his backpack. This is a meeting gift, try it. Seeing a roasted whole pig with a meaty aroma, Sun Wukong and Sun Gohan both drooled. Of course, Chi-Chi was no exception. It was the first time for them to smell such delicious meat. Please come in, let's eat together, Uncle Tachi. Although Sun Wukong was very confused at this moment as to why a relative he had never met would find him, the fragrant roasted whole pig in front of him did not allow him to think too much. Sitting at the dining table, the whole family began to eat the roasted whole pig. Although the pig was large in size, the Saiyans also had a big appetite. Soon, the sound of the 5 ants echoed throughout the room from the dining table, and in a short time, they had finished eating a whole roasted pig. Looking at the Wukong family enjoying the delicious food, Li Ziming was also very happy. It turned out that sharing is the real happiness. Oh no, the time for my appointment with teacher Wu Tian is almost up. Kikai suddenly woke up and said. Yabai, I forgot to, Uncle Tachi, I'm going to meet some friends to chat about the past. Would you like to stay at home for a while, or come with me? I'll go with you. Somersault Cloud. Hearing this, Sun Wukong also called for the somersault cloud, took Wuhan on it, and then said to Li Ziming, sorry, Uncle Tachi, this somersault cloud can only accommodate 2 people. Li Ziming smiled slightly, and then shouted towards the sky, somersault cloud. A yellow cloud suddenly came down from the sky, but it was not the real cloud, but a branch of the somersault cloud. Li Ziming also sat on the somersault cloud, parallel to Goku and Gohan. Although Sun Wukong was very curious about the origin of Li Ziming's somersault cloud, he saw that time was almost up and immediately flew towards Master Roshi's island. Halfway through, Li Ziming also sensed an explosion of energy from a long distance away, and thought it was from Piccolo and Raditz. It seems that after they meet Master Roshi, Raditz will also come over. Sitting on the somersault cloud, it didn't take long before he flew into the ocean and saw traces of the turtle house. After coming down, Sun Wukong also waved hello towards the house. Yahoo! When everyone in the room heard the voice, they immediately knew who it was and came out to greet them. Grandson, Goku. When they saw the child in Wukong's arms, they were very confused as to why he was holding a child. This is the child of Chi-Chi and me. Son Gohan. After hearing Goku's answer, they were stunned for a moment. When I came to my senses and saw Li Ziming behind me, I was even more confused. There can only be one more person. When Bulma saw this handsome man with long flowing hair, she also began to be obsessed with him. He was so damn handsome. Compared with Yamcha, he was simply a world apart, except that he had a tail. Hey? A tail. Goku. This is... Oh, this is Uncle Tachi, the relative I just found. Bulma suddenly came to her senses and saw that Gohan also had a tail. They were really relatives. This meant that he would also turn into a gorilla on the full moon night. Achieve Gold Achievement, the strongest Earthling in history. Achievement Reward, 1000 points. Achieve Gold Achievement, the genius inventor on Earth. Achievement Reward, 1000 points. Achieve Silver Achievement, a lustful old man practicing martial arts. Achievement Reward, 100 points. Achievement Achieved, Turtle. Achievement Reward, 10 points. Li Ziming looked at the people in front of him and felt very excited. These were the people on the TV screen when he was a child. The bald Krillin, the lecherous Kame Sensei, the young and beautiful Bulma, and the Kame, it's great to see them. However, looking at the panicked looks on their faces, he naturally understood what they were worried about, and couldn't help but laugh, attracting everyone's attention. Nice to meet you. I'm Goku's uncle, and I'm a Saiyan. You can call me Takaki, which is my Saiyan name. Of course, you can also call me Li Ziming, which is my current name. Saiyans. Everyone was stunned upon hearing this. Humans are just humans, but what are Saiyans? They are just a minority. You can understand it as aliens. Oh, aliens, aliens. Hey, we are aliens. After hearing this, Bulma, Krillin and Master Kame had the answer in their hearts. It was connected, everything was connected. The Earthling had great power and could transform on the full moon night. That person knew this trick. At this moment, just as Wukong was about to ask a question, he suddenly became alert and then looked up at the sky not far away. Something is coming, such a powerful energy. Looks like he's coming over. Don't be nervous, Goku. When Wukong heard this, although he was very confused, he still relaxed. However, he still stared at the black spot in the sky not far away. The black spot gradually grew bigger, and Raditz, dressed in combat gear, came in front of everyone and slowly landed on the ground. I finally found you, Kakarot. You've grown up so big now. You look exactly like your father. I recognized you right away. Everyone looked at Raditz, who looked like Goku, and then looked at his tail. Could he also be a relative of Goku? Achieve Silver Achievement, 3 episodes of Street Fighting. Achievement Reward, 100 points. Phew, when Li Ziming saw the system prompt, he laughed out loud. It was such a vivid description, he really died in 3 episodes. After hearing the laughter, Raditz also looked at Li Ziming. Looking at this familiar stranger, he felt as if he had seen him somewhere. The memories began to overlap, and Raditz also recalled the hot man who followed his parents. He also tried to call out the name in his memory. Uncle Tachi. Oh my, it seems that our superior warrior Raditz actually remembered me as a backup. Impossible. When planet Vegeta was destroyed by a meteorite, weren't you recuperating at home? Why are you still alive? You were rescued, but it seems you are still kept in the dark. During the conversation, Raditz also began to use the combat power detector to detect Li Ziming's combat power. The combat power detected surprised Raditz very much, because the combat power displayed on it was 1. At this moment, Li Ziming came to Raditz's side in an instant and pulled the combat power detector from his ear. If he remembered correctly, this combat power detector was being monitored, and there were 2 levels of eavesdropping, one by Vegeta and the other by Frieza. Hey, 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 calling Vegeta, if you want to know the truth about the destruction of planet Vegeta, come find me. I witnessed the whole process. Chapter 79. Without waiting for Raditz to react, Li Ziming directly threw the combat power detector to Bulma. Alien technology, take it and study it, it can be used to detect everyone's combat power. Thank you, handsome. Bulma was overjoyed after receiving it. As a genius scientist on Earth, she has always been yearning for alien technology. After all, she has a sister who goes to the universe to collect inspiration. She immediately took out the tools and started dismantling it. After a short while, she had dismantled the combat power detector. Li Ziming looked at Bulma, who was doing research in front of him. She was indeed like a childhood goddess. She was rich, beautiful, and had an amazing figure. Of course, the most important thing was her scientific research ability. It seemed that if she worked hard at studying, she would be the Dragon Ball version of Stark. At this moment, Raditz was completely stunned. Li Ziming's speed was definitely not a performance of combat effectiveness 1. But he still felt that it was impossible. At the beginning, Li Ziming was a low-level soldier with a combat power of only 500. Even after so many years, his combat power could not surpass that of a high-level soldier like himself. When Raditz thought about the purpose of coming to Earth, he also spoke to Li Ziming. Uncle Tachi, I recently found a new planet. I can sell it for a good price. Do you want to join us? No, I'm afraid you'll have time to occupy the planet but not enough to spend the money. What did you say? Calling you uncle shows respect for you. You are just a low-ranking warrior. Have you forgotten that we Saiyans respect the strong? Looking at the embarrassed Raditz, Li Ziming had forgotten that during this period, he was still the loser whose eyes were blinded by Frieza, who followed Vegeta to invade some low-level planets all day long and enjoyed slaughtering those with low combat effectiveness. If you hadn't told me, I would have forgotten. We Saiyans speak with strength. I will teach you a lesson on behalf of Bardock Engine. Nanny. Under everyone's surprised gaze, Li Ziming took a quick step and came directly in front of Raditz, then punched him and sent him flying into the air. He started to beat Raditz violently. I have to say, Li Ziming felt very comfortable when he was beating Raditz, maybe it was because he was too relaxed. I only need to make a slight move to reach Raditz's limit. No wonder so many game masters like to play fish fry. This is the answer. Punch after punch, kick after kick, hitting and kicking him away, then using trigger to pull him back, it didn't take long before Raditz passed out. Defeat Raditz and obtain 150 points. Li Ziming stopped only after hearing the system's loud notification sound. He felt that he had enjoyed the fight and all he had to do was wake Raditz up. If there weren't so few Saiyans at this stage that they could be counted on one hand, he might have killed Raditz directly. After pulling Raditz down, Ziming threw him onto a beach chair and asked him to take a break. It would probably not take long for him to wake up. Gaku, come here and take a look. He's your brother. His name is Raditz. Nani? After hearing what Ziming said, Gaku also brought Gohan over. Looking at his miserable appearance, he felt a little distressed, but it was deserved. Uncle Tachi, you are so powerful, can you fight me? Looking at the excited Wukong, Ziming said that there would be plenty of opportunities in the future, and now, let everyone come over and give them a vaccination. After all, there will be many powerful people on Earth in the future, and the Earth will be the center of the universe. It feels like the Earth in Marvel. Basically, everything in the future will happen on Earth. Everyone, I'm sure you've all had a few years of peace, but unfortunately, these days are coming to an end. Because of the special nature of your planet, Dragon Ball plus Goku and Gohan, they are the remaining Saiyans in the universe. Therefore, there will be countless powerful enemies appearing in the universe in the future, so you need to be alert and prepared to deal with the crises that arise. When everyone heard this, they fell silent. They had seen the fight between the two just now, and it would be difficult for them to cope with it with their current strength. Seeing that they were in a bad mood, Ziming's goal was achieved. He gave them a slap in the face and then a sweet date. Don't worry, even though it may be difficult, we can still handle it. After all, Gaku is here, and I will settle down on Earth in the future. Besides, you have many ways to improve your strength here. Compared to everyone's silence, Wukong seemed to be enlightened. After all, he was a martial arts fanatic and spent every day either eating, sleeping, and exercising. At this moment, Raditz, who was knocked unconscious by Ziming, also woke up. When he saw Ziming in front of him, his face began to hurt. I'm convinced. I give in. Just accept it. Although Raditz was defeated by Ziming, he was still unwilling to accept it. After all, he had provoked Vegeta before. It won't be long before Vegeta and Nappa come to Earth, and that will be the end of the Earth. He doesn't believe that Ziming can defeat both of them. But he was still curious about how strong Ziming's fighting ability would be, since he could defeat him so easily. Uncle Tachi, how strong are you now? Hearing this, Ziming looked at Raditz and said, as for combat power, it's around 100,000. 10W. Raditz was dumbfounded when he heard this number. He is several times stronger than Vegeta. So even after they came to this place, they are no match for him. Ziming looked at Raditz and said, by the way, Raditz, what's wrong with you? As a senior warrior, your combat power is only this low. Are you slacking off? Okay, now that Gaku is here, I'm going to tell you the truth about the destruction of planet Vegeta. Afterwards, Ziming told everyone about the Saiyans, the strongest race in the universe, and also told Raditz about Gaku hitting his head. No wonder he didn't recognize me. I visited him when I was a kid. Then, Ziming also said that the destruction of planet Vegeta by Frieza was not caused by a meteorite attack at all. For some reason, their father Bardock knew in advance that Frieza was going to kill all Saiyans, so he called on all Saiyans to assemble, but no one believed it. Helplessly, he could only face the powerful Frieza alone, but it was of no avail. In the end, he was destroyed along with the planet by an energy ball thrown by Frieza. Gaku, Bardock is your father. Your mother is called Jinia. My father. My mother. Ziming looked at the confused Gaku, who was already shocked by what Ziming said at the moment, and was thinking about something while holding Gohan. Hearing this, Raditz was dumbfounded. If this was true, then he had been working for his enemy all these years. Endless anger surged in his heart, towards himself and towards Frieza. But the next second, he was discouraged because Ziming revealed Frieza's fighting power. Frieza's combat power is around 530,000. Chapter 80. Hearing that Frieza's combat power was 530,000, everyone fell silent instantly. If his combat power of 100,000 was so strong, how strong would 530,000 be? Looking at the silent crowd, Ziming also understood that this little pressure was enough for now. As for Frieza's combat power in other stages, they would talk about it later. Otherwise, they will be in a desperate time and space, and that will be the end of them. Raditz, how long do you think it will take for Vegeta and the others to come over? At the speed of the spacecraft, it may take a year. Raditz answered truthfully. After all, it is the truth about the destruction of planet Vegeta, so Vegeta will definitely come, but this truth is hard to accept. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, there's still a year to go, I'll treat everyone to a delicious meal. Looking at the depressed people, Li Ziming directly took out the delicacies from the food world, including roasted whole pig, baby popcorn, frozen bison, puffer whale, and other delicacies. Everyone who smelled the fragrance instantly woke up from their depressed mood and drooled. Oh my god, it smells so good, it smells so good. Li Ziming also gave everyone some BB popcorn. They ate it one bite after another. It was very tempting. Not only was it very appetizing, but it was also very delicious. They couldn't stop eating it. Then there was a roasted whole pig and golden puffer whale. They had never eaten such delicious food before and felt their bodies became stronger. If the combat power detector had not been dismantled by Bulma, it would be possible to see that the combat power of several people had improved. It's a pity that there is no century soup. If they had drunk it, their combat effectiveness would probably be further improved and the cells in their bodies would also evolve. But at this moment, a figure appeared in the sky, and when he looked closely, it turned out to be Piccolo. Seeing Piccolo's appearance, Goku and others instantly became alert, but Li Ziming and Raditz seemed unusually calm. Achieve Silver Achievement, Gohan's Babysitter. Achievement Reward, 100 points. Looking at the young Piccolo above, Li Ziming also laughed. Although Piccolo was very eye-catching in the early stage, he became a nanny-level existence later on. Come down, Lord Piccolo. Everyone looked at the powerful Li Ziming, then looked at the great devil Piccolo, and relaxed. Piccolo thought about it and finally came down. After all, he had seen Raditz's strength before. Who the hell are you? We are the Saiyans, the strongest race in the universe. Before Li Ziming could speak, Raditz rinsed his mouth first. Facing such a defeated opponent, he was very proud. Li Ziming was speechless when he saw this. Although the boy looked like an adult, he was actually only 8 years old. This was definitely an adult bullying a child. Come down and eat something, Namek. Oh, I forgot, you can live without food. Piccolo smelled the delicacies on the table next to him and fell into deep thought for a moment, drooling from the corners of his mouth. It was obvious that he wanted to eat very much. Come on, eat some, or Goku will eat them all. Hearing Li Ziming's words, Piccolo immediately joined the table and began to eat heartily, but he was still curious as to why he called himself a Namekian. Wasn't he from Earth? Looking at Piccolo eating meat and drinking rainbow juice, Li Ziming chuckled. As expected, although the Namekians can survive without food like plants and only need water, they still eat and cannot resist delicious food. Before long, everyone was full. After all, it was the first time they had eaten such delicious food. Goku, take your brother home to meet Chi-Chi. And try to convince her to let Gohan practice martial arts. Okay, Uncle Tachi. Hey, I haven't agreed yet. Raditz objected angrily. You are already an adult, and there are only a few Saiyans left. Let your sister-in-law introduce you to a partner, and you will have a stable life. If you calm down and practice on Earth, your fighting power will probably improve a lot. Raditz felt mixed emotions when listening to Li Ziming's words, but Li Ziming was of a higher generation and stronger in ability, and most importantly, he was in the right. What do you think should be done? Okay. After dealing with this family, Li Ziming looked at Bulma and the lecherous immortal standing aside. Bulma, can you lend me the Dragon Ball radar? Sure, what wish do you want to make? Collect them first and think about it later. After obtaining the Dragon Ball radar from Bulma, Li Ziming also put it into the system backpack. Then he said to Bulma, Bulma, do you want to study spaceships? Spacecraft. There should be several of them on Earth right now. I'll give them to you when I find them. Amazed face, great. Li Ziming thought about letting Bulma study the spaceship, and then using the external materials to make a gravity room and spaceship, so that their training would be faster. And we will go to Namek later, so having a spaceship will be very convenient. At this time, Li Ziming suddenly thought that there seemed to be a spaceship in the food world, so he could go back and ask later. Then, Li Ziming looked at Master Roshi, quietly took him to the side, and then said, Master Wu Tian, can you teach me Kamehameha? Ah, you're already so strong, do you still need Kamehameha? There's no such thing as too many moves. I understand the principle. Take these magazines. When Master Roshi saw these colorful magazines, he immediately took them. They were all great things he had never seen before. Then he told Li Ziming the usage and tricks of Kamehameha. After hearing this, Li Ziming seemed to be thinking about something. He took a horse stance, put his hands together in the shape of a calyx, then brought them to his waist and gathered the energy between his hands. Ka. No. Ha. No. Ha. Soon, a blue ball of light appeared and, as Li Ziming pushed forward with his hands, flew towards the sea not far away. There was a loud bang and a small mushroom cloud instantly rose above the sea. It was Li Ziming who controlled it, otherwise the earth would have become pieces. Li Ziming was very happy to see that he had successfully learned it. After all, this was a move that was used throughout the entire Dragon Ball world. He saved 1000 points directly. What a profit! You can learn something else later, and finally integrate the strengths of all schools to create your own moves, which should be pretty good. After learning Kamehameha, Li Ziming also used the shadow clone technique to create 2 clones. One goes to find the spaceships on Earth, Goku's and Raditz, and then see if you can find the God's spaceship. That's the key point. The other clone took the Dragon Ball radar and went to look for the Dragon Balls on Earth. He could then make a wish. Although the Dragon Balls could fulfill any wish, the Earth was so small and the power was limited, so what could be fulfilled was still limited. As for the main body, Li Ziming came to Krillin and others and asked them to summon other fighters. Although their roles were minimal, they should try to improve their combat effectiveness. It might be useful. Afterwards, everyone began to prepare for the things they were responsible for. Li Ziming looked at Piccolo. If you want to know why I call you Namek, follow me. After saying that, Li Ziming flew towards Kalin Tower. Piccolo hesitated for a moment, then followed him. Chapter 81. Li Ziming and Piccolo flew side by side. Looking at such a young Piccolo, it was a pity that he only had a few years left to live. Although he is the child of Lord Piccolo, his essence is still the demonic incarnation of a god, so they can be considered one and the same. Now that the lifespan of the gods is almost over, he naturally doesn't have many years left to live. Later, Piccolo was killed by Vegeta, resulting in the two of them dying early before they died of old age. Although he was successfully resurrected later, in order to deal with stronger enemies, the immortal took the initiative to assimilate with Piccolo, and Piccolo regained his normal lifespan. At the same time, his strength increased greatly, and his combat power was comparable to that of a Super Saiyan. But I don't know, if they assimilated in advance, can their combat effectiveness still reach that level, or will they have to assimilate with Nira first? Soon, the two arrived under Karin Tower and began to climb straight up, flying towards Karin Tower. Flying all the way up, he saw the true form of the Somersault Cloud, as well as the Cat Hermit and Yajirobe. Achieve Silver Achievement, the Cat Fairy Who Farms. Achievement Reward, 100 points. Achievement obtained, Lazy and Gluttonous Yajiro. Achievement Reward, 10 points. When the Cat Hermit and Yajirobe saw Piccolo appear behind Li Ziming, they turned around and ran away in fear. Li Ziming quickly dissuaded him, "Don't run, it won't kill you." Hearing this, the cat and the man stopped walking, but the Cat Fairy was also very curious as to why Li Ziming was looking for him. "Fellow Goku, what do you want from me?" "Cat Immortal, I don't have anything to ask you, I just want to ask how many senzu beans you have left. After all, future enemies are coming, so we have to be prepared." When the Cat Hermit heard this, he first looked at Yajirobe, sighed, and then talked about the number of remaining senzu beans, only 2 left. Seeing that there were only 2 senzu beans left, Li Ziming was speechless and could only glare at Yajirobe viciously. "Cat Immortal, can you plant more senzu beans? After all, you know that they are very effective." "No way, production capacity is limited." Hearing this, Li Ziming was thoughtful. Suddenly, he remembered the Cat Fairy's preference, and then he took out a golden puffer whale. The moment the Cat Immortal saw it, his eyes widened. The golden fish had a fragrant smell. What a delicious taste! The next second, Li Ziming took out a kitchen knife, cut the puffer whale into slices, and handed them to the Cat Immortal. "Try it." The Cat Immortal was dumbfounded. Was this really for him? After looking at Li Ziming again, he picked up the chopsticks and started to taste it. After taking a bite, Cat Immortal instantly tasted the deliciousness of puffer whale. It was more delicious than any fish he had ever eaten, and the taste was super chewy and refreshing. It was as if a bolt of lightning had struck my body, and I felt as if every cell in my body had been awakened. Li Ziming was very happy to see the scene, and then he looked at the cat immortal and said, "From now on, for every 50 senzu beans you take out, I will give you a puffer whale. How about that? 50 pills are too many. My production is limited, only a few per month. How about 10 pills? 60 pills. Okay, just 50 pills." Seeing that an agreement had been reached, Li Ziming smiled slightly, and then handed the plate of puffer whale to the cat immortal. "By the way, cat immortal, can you give me a pot of super divine water?" "What are you going to do? With your strength, you shouldn't need the super divine water. And it's highly poisonous. Let's give it a try. The more we can get, the better. After all, we are facing a powerful enemy." After thinking for a while, the cat immortal looked at Li Ziming and then at the puffer whale, and finally returned to the bedroom, took out the super divine water, and also took the last 2 magic beans. "Here you go. Remember, if you can't hold on, induce vomiting immediately, and then eat a senzu bean. You should be able to recover." "Thank you." After taking out another puffer whale and handing it to the cat hermit, Li Ziming glared at Yajirobe again and left with Piccolo. "I'll find another opportunity to try it. If it doesn't work, I can give it to Raditz. With his adult Saiyan body, he should be able to last a long time." Flying all the way with Piccolo, they soon arrived at the Temple of the Gods where the gods and Mr. Popo lived. At this moment, the 2 people above have been waiting here for a long time. Achieve Silver Achievement, the Alien God of the Earth. Achievement Reward, 100 points. Achieve Platinum Achievement, Mysterious Mr. Bobo. Gold Achievement, 10,000 points. Looking at these vastly different achievements, it is quite normal for a god to be like this. After all, he is both the real body and a god. But this about Mr. Bobo really scared Li Ziming. After all, there was an endless stream of news about him in his previous life. Some say he is an angel, some say he is the former high priest, some say he is the Omni King, some say he is the dragon god, some say he is the dragon god's servant. In short, there are all kinds of rumors. But it is obvious that his status is very high. After all, Mr. Bobo has assisted 3 gods on Earth and is considered the longest-lived person on Earth. Moreover, this Temple of the Gods also has big problems. Not only does it have a spiritual time house, but most importantly, it also has a time machine. Mr. Popo used it to allow Wukong to travel back hundreds of years to find his master Wu Taita to learn the true meaning of Qi. The only people who can control time in this world, besides Hit's Flash Time, are Whis and the other Kais. But the most powerful one is the Time Kai, Kane. Li Ziming brought Piccolo and landed gently on the Temple of the Gods, then greeted the 2 of them. "Hello, gods and Mr. Bobo. Welcome to Earth, Mr. Tachi. Just call me Li Ziming, that's my Earth name." Hearing this, the immortal's eyes lit up instantly. It was obvious that Li Ziming regarded this place as his home, otherwise he would not have given it a name from Earth. "Okay, Li Ziming. But you brought Piccolo to my place, is there something going on?" "Nothing, I just came to tell you about the mystery of my life experience, which concerns you, the gods, and Piccolo." Hearing this, the immortal was confused. Although he lost his memory when he was a child, he still saw the message on the spaceship. But after waiting for 30 years, no one came here, so he went out to practice. But when it comes to his own life experience, he himself doesn't know it, so how could Li Ziming know it? However, thinking about what he saw and heard when he peeked at the screen before, the Saiyans, the strongest race in their universe, seemed to know some information. "Mr. Bobo, please make us a pot of tea." "Okay, Kamisa." Afterwards, the immortal brought the 2 of them to a pavilion not far away and asked them to sit down. At this time, Piccolo was very annoyed. If Li Ziming didn't know something, he would have turned around and left. After all, he couldn't kill him, and staying here would just be nagging. Afterwards, Mr. Bobo also brought tea and poured a cup for everyone. After Li Ziming thanked him, he also tasted it. Well, just regular tea and regular water. Upon seeing this, the gods also became curious and asked about his own life experience. Li Ziming put down the teacup, looked at Piccolo and the immortal, and then said, "You are not from Earth, you are from Namek. You are aliens. And on Namek, there are many people who look just like you. There are also Dragon Balls on that planet." Chapter 82. When Piccolo and the gods heard what Li Ziming said, they suddenly realized that they were not from Earth, but aliens. He is not alone. There are countless of his own people on Namek in faraway outer space. Li Ziming looked at the two people in deep thought, and then said, now Namek can only be regarded as your second home. The real Namek was destroyed by a comet several hundred years ago. It was at that time that you were sent to Earth, God. And the person who sent you here was your father, a Namekian named Kadaz. It's just that it might have died by then. After hearing these words, the immortal also sighed. It turned out that the person he had been waiting for was gone at that time. Li Ziming glanced at the sad god and continued talking about Namek. I have never known about this, Kadaz, but the great elder on Namek knows. After all, you Namekians are all born from eggs. After listening to Li Ziming, the gods thanked him and told him the mystery of their life experience, but they were very curious about why he told them all this. Li Ziming smiled and said, of course it is conditional. Nothing, I'm just facing a great enemy, so I want to use the spirit time house to train myself, and borrow your spaceship to modify it. After hearing these two conditions, the immortal immediately agreed. After all, to him, these were dispensable things. Li Ziming was naturally very happy when the immortal agreed. After all, it was the spirit time house, but one day outside was equivalent to 1 year inside. He could go back and do some shopping in the world of gourmet food, and then come back to practice directly for a year. Although each person can only practice in this spiritual time house for a maximum of 2 years in his lifetime, for Li Ziming, as his strength increases in the later period, he can come here more often. However, he will probably need to reach a strength of more than 3 to do so. However, there is one more thing that I need the help of the gods to discuss. God, can you take a few people to the underworld to train with King Kai? See how many people you can take with you. When the gods heard what Li Ziming said, they realized that they were waiting for them here. A living person going to the underworld to practice with King Kai must really think that he is very capable. I need to go ask, but I don't think I can go to many places. It's okay. If you can go, then go. In Li Ziming's impression, Goku went to King Kai to train, but was killed by Piccolo and Raditz. King Yan agreed because he could go to heaven because of his good deeds. As for whether the living people can go, it depends on the words of the gods. Afterwards, Li Ziming learned the whereabouts of the spacecraft from the immortal, and the matter ended here. Picker, are you going to practice on your own or practice with us? Pico, let's stay here for now. I have something to talk to him about. After hearing the words of the immortal, Li Ziming glanced at the two of them. After saying goodbye to a few people, Li Ziming also flew towards Yunzabite Highlands. The previous 2 clones had collected 6 Dragon Balls and 2 spaceships. The last Dragon Ball was still with Gohan. Also, there is the Divine Spaceship. It originally landed at Yunzabite Highlands, and the spaceship is also in that place. It didn't take long for Li Ziming to fly here. After all, the area of the Earth is far smaller than the world of food. After some searching, they successfully found the fairy's spaceship, which had a strange shape and was covered with countless mosses. However, Li Ziming knew that the spacecraft could still fly and its functions were almost undamaged. It's just that whether it's starting or controlling, it requires the Namekian language, but it doesn't matter, just leave it to Bulma. Putting the spaceship into his backpack, Li Ziming flew towards Bulma's house. It didn't take long for him to arrive above Bulma's house. As soon as he landed, he heard an exclamation. Oh, this handsome boy, who are you? Li Ziming looked in the direction of the voice and saw a beautiful sister looking at him. Achievement obtained, the hospitable Mrs. Brief. Achievement reward, 10 points. After seeing the hint, Li Ziming also knew who the beautiful sister in front of him was, Bulma's mother. Hello, I'm Bulma's friend. Is she home? Hearing this, Mrs. Brief jokingly said, oh, I haven't heard Bulma say that she has such a handsome friend. Wait a minute, I'll go get her out. Li Ziming looked at Mrs. Brief who was leaving. She was indeed a nice person, warm and hospitable, worthy of being Bulma's mother. After waiting for a while, Bulma came out and brought his father out with her. Achieve the gold achievement, the outstanding and weird Dr. Brief. Achievement reward, 1000 points. He is worthy of being Bulma's father. Father, like daughter. Uncle Tachi, you're here so soon. Hey, Bulma, I found the spaceship and sent it to you. Hearing the conversation between the two, Bulma's parents were stunned. They had many questions in their minds, wondering why she called him uncle. Seeing her parents' confusion, Bulma introduced Li Ziming to them. Remember Wukong? This is Wukong's uncle, a relative who just came over. Oh, I see. Seeing that they also understood, Li Ziming came to the open space next to him and took out 3 spaceships. The moment Bulma and his father saw the spaceship, they immediately ran over, touching it left and right, very excited. This is a spaceship. Yes, Goku's, Raditz, and the big one is the God's. Afterwards, Li Ziming also stated his requirements. The 2 spherical spacecraft could be studied casually, but the area should be expanded as much as possible, and they also had to be equipped with equipment to control gravity. As for the God's spaceships, there is no need to make any changes, just restore them to their original state. As for how to research technology, that is their business. Then, Li Ziming returned the Dragon Ball radar to Bulma. Bulma looked at the Dragon Ball radar and was very surprised. It's all collected now. Yeah, it's just the lunch hour, I can just go and borrow some from them later. Looking at Bulma putting away the Dragon Ball radar, Li Ziming suddenly thought of something. Although it was a bit early, he didn't know whether current technology could support it. Li Ziming thought about it for a while, and then said it out loud, Bulma, can you strengthen the Dragon Ball radar? It would be best to extend its detection range to the entire universe. When Bulma heard this, she was very confused as to why the detection range should be expanded to the entire universe. Li Ziming then told Bulma about the Dragon Balls and the Super Dragon Balls on the planet Namek. Bulma was very surprised that such a thing actually existed. Bulma began to think about whether it was possible to produce an enhanced version of the Dragon Ball radar with the Earth's technological level. Looking at the thoughtful Bulma, she is very beautiful. I really don't know what Yamcha is thinking. He ignores the rich woman and thinks about flirting with other girls every day. He really doesn't even want to be a gigolo. Don't worry, there's still a lot of time, let's study the technology thoroughly first. Okay. Chapter 83. After leaving Bulma's house, Li Ziming flew towards Baizai Mountain. Go back and check on Goku and the others, and borrow the 4-star ball to see if I can make a wish now. Not long after, Li Ziming arrived above Wukong's house. As soon as he came down, he heard the quarrel between Kikai and Wukong. Son Goku, what on earth were you thinking? You actually let Gohan fight? He wants to be a scholar in the future. Kikai, listen to me, there will be many enemies in the future. I don't care, I'll let you guys handle it. What's the point of letting a kid do this? Seeing this, Li Ziming naturally understood Chi-Chi's concerns. Although Gohan was very talented, he still had his own talent. He just needed to cultivate it as a trump card. Pushing open the door, the 4 people inside looked at him one after another. Goku was surprised, Chi-Chi was angry, Raditz was panicked, and Gohan was at a loss. I heard you guys arguing outside. There's no need to argue. Calm down. When Chi-Chi saw this, she was immediately furious. It was because of this uncle's appearance that Gohan had to learn martial arts, so naturally she didn't look in a good mood. When Goku saw Li Ziming appear, he wanted him to persuade Chi-Chi so that Gohan could practice martial arts to deal with future enemies. In this regard, Li Ziming also said according to his own opinion, Chi-Chi doesn't agree, but she just wants Gohan to study and become a scholar in the future. But Kikai, don't forget that only with a healthy body can you complete your studies and research in the future. Otherwise, why do students have physical education classes? After hearing what Li Ziming said, Kikai's expression eased a little, but she was still indignant. Seeing this, Li Ziming continued. You let Gohan be a scholar just to let him learn knowledge so that he won't become a martial arts fanatic like Goku in the future. The second is money, but you obviously don't know how we make money. For us, making money is very easy. As he spoke, Li Ziming looked around, took out a piece of charcoal from under the kitchen stove, placed it in the palm of his hand, and then compressed it hard. Everyone present instantly felt the high temperature radiating from the palm of Li Ziming's hand. The next second, when Li Ziming opened his arms, a large crystal clear diamond appeared. Kikai was stunned instantly. She came over to take it and saw that it was really a super large diamond, estimated to be dozens of carats. It's only because of my high fighting ability that I can rub diamonds with my hands. Goku and Raditz are still a little behind. But they can go to uninhabited areas to dig for gold or oil, jade, or open a martial arts school, etc. These are all ways to make money. After hearing this, Kikai suddenly had an epiphany. Oh, this is possible. Then she had asked Wukong to farm before. Oh my god, it was really a waste of his talent. After Li Ziming said this, Chi-Chi was moved, but after hearing what Li Ziming said afterwards, Chi-Chi immediately agreed with Gohan's plan to practice martial arts. Chi-Chi, don't you want to train a Gohan who has both knowledge and power? This will bring honor to the family. Okay, I agree. As long as it doesn't interfere with Gohan's studies, you can practice as much as you want. When Goku heard this, he immediately looked at Li Ziming excitedly. Now he could finally train Gohan with him. Raditz, who was standing aside, also let out a sigh of relief at this moment. His brother's sister-in-law's personality was really too violent. He had to find a gentle one. At this moment, Gohan was also very happy. As a half-Saiyan, he naturally had a great interest in martial arts. After many twists and turns, Li Ziming was very excited to see that he had convinced Chi-Chi after all. Gohan is the most talented Saiyan at present, with full potential, beast form, and so on. By the way, Goku, lend me the 4-star ball. Are you going to summon the dragon? What wish do you want to make? You'll know in a moment. Goku took the 4-star ball from Gohan's head and gave it to Li Ziming, which made Raditz very confused. What on earth was this thing? Afterwards, Li Ziming came outside, took out the other Dragon Balls one by one and placed them on the ground. I saw 7 Dragon Balls gathered together, slowly flashing light. When Li Ziming saw it, he was very excited. Come out, Shenlong. In an instant, dark clouds covered the entire sky. A golden light rose from the 7 Dragon Balls and kept changing in the air. Finally, a green dragon appeared in front of everyone. Okay, tell me your wish. Get silver achievement, 1 wish for a normal dragon. Achievement reward, 100 points. When Li Ziming saw the system prompt, he felt helpless. A dragon of this level obviously could not fulfill his inner wish. But on second thought, Li Ziming had an idea, but he didn't know if he could fix the bug. Shenlong, my wish is to let me make 3 more wishes. Just wait, tell me your wish, or I'll leave. Tisk, tisk. Li Ziming also made a tisk sound when he saw that he couldn't get stuck with the bug. That makes me a god of destruction. You can't say that. Hearing this, the dragons were so scared that they immediately lowered their heads and told Li Ziming to shut up, otherwise their lives would be in danger. Epsilon equals Omicron asterisk, oh. I can't do this. What can you do? Can't you just make a normal wish? Shenlong was speechless at this moment, his career suffered a disastrous defeat. Then teach me how to practice as a Kaishin. Well, I'm not at a high enough level to access. Seeing this, Li Ziming was worthy of being the dragon god of the earth. With only a trace of dragon god power, it was obviously unable to accomplish anything beyond the limit of energy. It seemed that he had to look for Bogaran or the Super Dragon Balls. Helplessly, Li Ziming could only tell the dragon a very ordinary wish. Then do your best to give me the most senzu beans. As you wish. The next second, the dragon's eyes turned red, and a bag of magic beans appeared in Li Ziming's hand, which then immediately turned into Dragon Balls and fled from this place of trouble. Li Ziming watched the dragon turn into Dragon Balls, teleport to the sky, and collected all the Dragon Balls. Now he didn't have to look for them in the future, and it would be convenient for him to use them next time. After feeling it for a while, although the Dragon Ball has turned into stone, I can still feel its difference. But I don't know if there will be negative energy. But the time and space are different, so there should be no evil dragons. After a quick look, I found that the bag of magic beans that the dragon had conjured up contained exactly 100 beans. Although it was a little less, it was still not a small amount. After all, the cat fairy couldn't get that many beans in a year. But now with the temptation of the puffer whale, I think it should cultivate more senzu beans, so there will be no shortage of them in the future. Now that his wish had been fulfilled, Li Ziming gave the stone that the dragon had transformed into to Wukong and placed it in his home for future use. Then, Li Ziming took out the super divine water and looked at Raditz. My dear nephew, would you like to have a bite? Sorry, it's late. These are all newly typed words. My keyboard is broken. Damn. Chapter 84. The moment Li Ziming held the super divine water, Wukong recognized it and was so scared that he took a step back. Super divine water. That's right, Goku, but this thing probably won't work on you. So, my good nephew Raditz, would you like to have a bite? Raditz was very confused as to what this super divine water was and why Goku was so scared after seeing it. Li Ziming then talked about the effects of the super magic water, which can stimulate the potential of the body and improve combat effectiveness, but the side effect is severe pain. Of course, it may also be useless. Raditz was very excited to hear that it could improve combat effectiveness. There was actually such a good thing on Earth. As for the minor side effects, the Saiyans didn't feel any pain at all. Seeing this, Li Ziming smiled and poured a glass for Raditz. Recalling that when Wukong drank it, he was only a teenager and his body had not yet fully developed. It took him a night of pain to overcome the toxicity and his fighting power improved a lot. Raditz is an adult Saiyan now. I think he should be able to withstand the toxicity of the super divine water and unleash his potential power. I just don't know how long it will take. However, in his previous life, many people said that Wukong's viral heart disease was caused by drinking the super magic water when he was a child, which led to his viral heart disease. It's a pity that senzu beans can't clear the virus, otherwise Goku's fighting power might be increased. Let's wait a year and see if he can be treated with Dragon Balls, or go back to Master Regeneration Enzo and ask for some panaceas. Try to detect and treat it early to avoid suffering later. At this time, Raditz drank a cup of super divine water in one gulp, then pinched his neck and groaned in pain, which scared Goku and the painful memories came back to him again. Li Ziming looked at his condition and felt that it would take some time to stimulate the potential in his body. But letting him scream was not a problem, so Li Ziming took him to the vicinity of Baizai Mountain, dug a cave and put him in, and then returned to Wukong's home. Can Raditz hold on? Seeing Wukong looking a little anxious, Li Ziming said, of course he can. He is much stronger than you were when you drank the super divine water. It won't be long before he can overcome the toxicity of the super divine water. Since Raditz has already drunk the super divine water, then he, as his uncle, should also have a cup. Li Ziming took out the teapot of super magical water and poured himself a large cup. The large cup of beer was soon full, and there was not much left in the teapot. However, this teapot of super divine water seems to be able to produce it infinitely. It's just that when Goku was a kid, he got a cup, then he got a cup for Raditz, and then he gave himself a whole super large cup, and it was almost gone. Looking at the remaining part, Li Ziming thought of Toriko. His gourmet sense made him love poisonous ingredients the most, so he should be able to drink this. Wukong, who was standing by, was so frightened when he saw Li Ziming pour a large cup of wine that his face turned pale. He felt pain all night after drinking a teacup, so how painful would it be to drink 3 or 4 times the amount? Afterwards, Li Ziming directly called for the somersault cloud, sat on it and flew into the air. I smelled the super divine water, it was a colorless and odorless purple liquid, revealing its unusualness. What I drank today is the super divine water from the Dragon Ball world, it is this high, with Holoso, Thunder Gaba, and OU Kingla's hands. ZBC. Li Ziming drank the large cup of super magical water in one gulp. The moment it entered his mouth, an electric current ran through his whole body, and then emitted strange energy. The poison began to spread and the body responded. Veins popped up all over the body and it felt like countless ants were crawling on it, causing both pain and itchiness. At the same time, the energy stored in Li Ziming's body began to be consumed as the poison spread, his chi continued to increase, and his combat effectiveness began to soar. Soon, Li Ziming's body, which originally weighed several tons, gradually became lighter and weighed about 1 ton under the stimulation of the toxicity of the super divine water. Although they were lighter and had fewer cells in their bodies, their energy capacity limit had increased. The same was true for their S cells. If Li Ziming could see, he would find that the S cells now had a hint of golden light and were green. When he came to his senses, Li Ziming had sweated a lot and his whole body was wet. After feeling the changes in himself, Li Ziming discovered that his strength had increased several times, and his whole body was shaking due to the increase in strength. Li Ziming was certain that this super magical water was actually poison. Drinking it would stimulate the whole body and use the body's mechanism to counter it, consuming the energy and cells in the body and converting them into chi. If you can hold on until your body mechanism is activated, you will survive, otherwise you will be poisoned to death. This is the super divine water. The reason why almost no one has been alive after drinking it for so long. Obviously, Wukong's viral heart disease was the root cause of the disease caused by the super divine water. After all, the toxin stayed in the body for too long, and finally flowed in the blood and gathered in the heart. Later, after being stimulated by the long-term use of Kaioken, he completely exploded in the battle with the androids. Now the toxins in the super divine water have been completely consumed in Li Ziming's body, and the S cells with the characteristics of gourmet cells have also triggered the defense mechanism, directly neutralizing the toxins in the super divine water. Li Ziming felt that his energy had changed a little after this experience, as if he had sensed it in the cat immortals and the gods. But he didn't care. His whole body was sticky, so he just rode on the somersault cloud to the sea, then jumped in, took a sea bath, changed his clothes, and flew towards Baizai Mountain. During this period, Li Ziming also ate a magic bean, and he instantly became more energetic, and his body was constantly surging with new energy. When he took a look at the combat power on his personal panel, he was completely stunned. Host, Li Ziming, Takai, gender, male age, 20 years old bloodline, Saiyan elite bloodline plus gourmet devil, Saiyan giant ape, 40%, combat power, 100 W points, 93,375 number of times you can cross, 0 skills, Kamehameha, food suppression, 3 Megatama Sharingan, shadow clone technique, dimension slash, king fist, artificial moon, trigger, air dance technique, Qigong wave, giant ape transformation, high speed flight, chi sensing, tail attack, nail fist, knife and fork, intimidation. Backpack, 100 cubic meters super magic water, Senzu Beans X101. Li Ziming was very surprised to see that his combat power had reached 1 million, but he also felt it was reasonable. After all, the most unreasonable person's combat power increased from 90,000 to 3 million after a stay in the treatment chamber. I just don't know if I can improve my combat effectiveness after drinking the super divine water and then going to the great elder of Namek. Li Ziming thought that in the next few months, he should make good use of the Senzu beans and train well. He thought that when Vegeta and the others came, his combat effectiveness would be further improved. A combat power of 3 million is a hurdle. It is the hurdle for becoming a Super Saiyan, and it is also the hurdle for continuing to improve one's strength. Chapter 85. After returning to Baizai Mountain, Li Ziming could also hear Raditz howling not far away. He will definitely be able to survive it, after all, he is a Saiyan, and an adult Saiyan at that, but I don't know how much his combat power can be improved. Li Ziming's own power has been improved to 100 W, so his combat power of more than 1000 is several times higher than that of Wukong. It is estimated that it can also be improved several times. After all, he ate a lot of food from the food world in the afternoon. Back at Goku's house, the family started preparing dinner. They always went to bed early and got up early, so Gohan did not transform into a Saiyan giant ape. However, one day in the future, I will transform, after all, I am a Saiyan. Li Ziming also took out a lot of delicacies, including the braised meat from earlier, the puffer whale, the rainbow juice, and the devil snake meat burger. The Wukong family had never seen such a scene before. What else could they do? There was ready-made food. After Li Ziming cooked it a little, they started eating immediately. It's a pity that some gem meat and century soup are missing, otherwise Li Ziming would definitely take them out. I believe that with them, Goku and Gohan might develop gourmet cells. There are still too few ingredients in the backpack. Li Ziming decided that after sending Goku to King Kai, he could go back to buy some and then come back to practice. Eat it. As soon as he finished speaking, Goku and Gohan began to eat with relish. Such delicious food was better than any food they had ever eaten. Seeing them eating so happily, Li Ziming was also very pleased. It was so happy to eat delicious food with family. Soon, he joined in, and they all ate very well at this dinner. As night fell, Wukong's family fell into silence. After eating, they all fell asleep, while Li Ziming was on the somersault cloud, using the sky as his blanket and the cloud as his bed. Afterwards, Li Ziming fell asleep and half awake. Unexpectedly, he heard a monkey cry in the middle of the night. He woke up and looked for the source of the sound. It turned out to be Raditz who had transformed. Today was a full moon. Li Ziming frowned immediately and looked over. He saw that Raditz no longer had the super divine water in his body, and his combat power had also been improved. At this moment, an idea suddenly came to Li Ziming's mind. Could it be that Raditz couldn't hold on any longer, so he chose to transform into a giant ape to let his violent Saiyan bloodline fight against the toxins in the super divine water? Looking at the giant ape transformed Raditz, his combat power has reached 100,000. I think his original combat power is also around 10,000. As expected of Raditz, who has been an elite warrior since childhood, his potential should not be underestimated. After all, he is a man with Super Saiyan 3 hair. Looking at the giant ape that was somewhat out of control, it seemed that the huge increase in combat power had suppressed his rationality, causing him to go out of control. Seeing this, Ziming went straight to Raditz and knocked him unconscious with a knife. Defeat Raditz and obtain 1000 points. After feeding Raditz a senzu bean, Ziming threw him into the cave. He was very gentle and he should be able to wake up at dawn the next day. After he was done, he went back to sleep. The next day, as soon as the sun rose, Ziming sensed that someone had come to the door of Wukong's house. This person was Mr. Bobo. It came here to tell the gods have received permission from the underworld to go and practice, but only 2 people can go. Just go to the temple when you go. Okay, thank you Mr. Bobo. Seeing Mr. Bobo leaving on the magic carpet, Ziming woke up Wukong and told him about going to the underworld to practice. After hearing this, Wukong was very excited. He could finally practice. He had had enough of farming all day. But when I think about Gohan's talent, since Chi-Chi allowed him to practice martial arts, but they are gone, who can tell him? Leave it to Piccolo. Ah, Piccolo. Goku thought about it for a while, and then decided that it was okay to leave it to Piccolo. After all, he also felt that Piccolo seemed to have changed since he defeated him. But when Chi-Chi heard that Piccolo was going to train Gohan, she refused to agree no matter what. After all, he was the great devil Piccolo who killed people like crazy. Actually, Chi-Chi, even though Piccolo is huge, he's actually only 8 years old. Ha! When she heard that Piccolo was only 8 years old, not only Chi-Chi was confused, but even Goku was confused. Thinking back to how he looked when he met Piccolo, it seemed like it was true for a moment. Now Kikai no longer objects, but she is still in a bad mood. Ziming brings up Raditz when he sees this. Don't worry, I'll let Raditz go train Gohan too. With his uncle around, I think you should be relieved. Okay. Later, Raditz came over and heard that Ziming wanted him and Piccolo to train Gohan. Naturally, he was unwilling to do so. Compared to training Gohan, he wanted to become stronger so that he could take revenge. I don't want to. Ziming raised his fist when he heard this. Raditz saw this and said, but then again, my sudden increase in strength still needs some time to settle down. After making the decision, they had a simple meal, said goodbye to Kiki, and then the 4 of them flew towards the temple. Soon, they arrived here and saw the waiting gods and Piccolo beside them. Upon seeing this, Ziming asked Goku to go over and talk to Piccolo about training Gohan, while he came to the side of the immortal. God, thank you. It's a small matter. After all, you solved the mystery of our origins. It's a small matter. After the conversation here, Goku and Piccolo also finished their conversation, and they also agreed to take Gohan to practice. After handing Gohan over to Raditz and Piccolo, Ziming was taken to the underworld by the gods along with Goku. Achieve Silver Achievement, Hell. Achievement Reward, 100 points. Achieve Silver Achievement, King Yama. Achievement Reward, 100 points. The moment he arrived in the underworld, Ziming felt something falling on him, but it disappeared the next second. I think it should be the rules of the underworld or something. After all, some priests in the Dragon Ball world have very weak combat power. Only with rules can they suppress all the dead souls and send them to heaven and hell. The King Yama in front of them was probably the same, but they didn't know whether there were ghost lanterns in this world. Well, let's meet King Yama. Hello, King Yama. After all, he was a clergyman, so Ziming naturally did not dare to be negligent and greeted him politely. King Yama naturally knew about their arrival. I can let you go to King Kai to train, but I have a request. But when I need your help in the future, I hope you can come over. After hearing this, Ziming and Wukong thought it was just a request and agreed immediately. King Yama was overjoyed when he saw this, and ordered his men to take them to the snake path. Only after they had finished running through the snake island could they see King Kai for training. In this way, the ghost sat in the car, carrying Ziming and Wukong and drove towards the snake path. Not long after, they arrived at the snake head. You two, follow the snake's body all the way forward. You will reach King Kai's residence at the end. By the way, this snake path is about 1,000,000 kilometers long. Chapter 86. When Ziming heard that the snake path was 1,000,000 kilometers long, he naturally knew it, but Wukong was confused. How long will it take to run this 1 million kilometers? Although Li Ziming knew this a long time ago, the corners of his mouth twitched. The scene of his last trip to Wu continent was still vivid in his mind. That was only 65,000 kilometers. As expected, it must be the underworld regime that is in charge. Concrete number 64 tastes good with pasta. The last time I flew on the somersault cloud for more than 10 hours, but how much was my combat power at that time? With this 1 million combat power, Li Ziming didn't know how long it would take him to get there if he flew at full speed. Li Ziming looked at Wukong, who was looking around, and directly pulled him with the trigger, then wrapped him with air, and then with a breath, the flying dance technique was activated, and flew towards the snake's tail at high speed. Everything around him began to retreat. It was the first time for Li Ziming to fly at full speed. He was very excited. This was the first time that he had such a large space for flying so fast. The speed was so fast that it was jaw-dropping. In just half an hour, Li Ziming brought Wukong from the head of the snake to the tail. Come to think of it, after all, Goku, who had only a few hundred combat power, took half a year to run the snake path the first time, but the second time, with a combat power of several thousand, it only took him 2 days. Later, he even used instant teleportation to teleport directly to King Kai. It is reasonable that his million-dollar battle was completed so quickly. Li Ziming looked at the North Kaio planet not far in the sky. King Kai was right there on it. It was this planet, but it was too small. Thinking back, it seems that the North Kai planet was quite big before, but after Beerus came, North Kai won him in a game, and the planet turned into pieces. Li Ziming flew directly to the North King Kai's planet with Goku, and saw North King Kai racing with the grasshopper Gregory and the monkey Bobris. Achieve Silver Achievement, a god who loves to tell jokes. Achievement Reward, 100 points. Achievement obtained, Super Fast Grasshopper. Achievement Reward, 10 points. Achievement obtained, North King Kai's Butler Monkey. Achievement Reward, 10 points. Li Ziming and Wukong fell to the side of the road. The moment he landed, Wukong was pressed down by gravity and couldn't get up, while Li Ziming just shook a little and his body gradually adapted to the gravity. Goku's body also gradually adapted and he slowly crawled down from the ground. At this moment, King Beija also saw them. No one had come here for many years, and this was the first time he saw a living person coming here. Who are you and what are you doing here? Seeing King Kai and his entourage getting off the car, Li Ziming greeted them and explained that they were there to practice. We are here to seek guidance from Lord Kaio in training. Practice. It's not impossible. But it requires assessment. King Baikai's eyes lit up, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly, and then he stated his request, which was to tell a joke to make him laugh. Before Li Ziming could say anything, Wukong was shocked. Although he was a martial arts fanatic, he had never told any jokes before. Li Ziming then waved towards Wukong and left the assessment to him. He had a lot of jokes and puns. After thinking of a random idea, Li Ziming said to King Kai, on this day, Sunflower Mother was eating melon seeds. Little Sunflower asked her mother, Mom, what are you eating? Sunflower Mother said, I'm eating your second aunt. Puff. Ha 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 ha, eat your second aunt. Ha 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 ha. Seeing King Kai holding his belly and laughing wildly, Li Ziming immediately talked about the second one. Someone farted really loudly. Do you know why? Why? Because of the bell-bottoms he was wearing. Ha 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 ha, bell-bottoms. Looking at King Kai, who was lying on the ground hammering the ground because of his own laughter, Li Ziming then took out the ultimate joke and told it to him. Do you know why gorillas make no sound when they walk? Because gorillas walk with their breasts down. Puff. Ha 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 ha. Seeing that Li Ziming wanted to continue talking, King Kai immediately asked him to stop. If he continued like this, he might become the first King Kai to be laughed to death. Okay, I've decided to guide you in your practice. Let me see your strength first. King Kai immediately straightened his posture. Upon seeing this, Li Ziming also started to explode with anger, and a million combat forces exploded instantly, with pressure spreading towards the entire planet. Before Li Ziming could step forward, King Kai called for a timeout while wiping his sweat. No, you are already so strong, why do you still come to me to practice? Send my nephew over here and see if I can learn anything. After saying that, Li Ziming pointed at Wukong, making him look confused. King Kai saw this and also looked at Goku. So that was the case. After sensing it, he found that Goku's strength was obviously less than 1% of Li Ziming's. Seeing that Goku was having a hard time moving and obviously had not yet adapted to the gravity here, King Kai called upon Bobris and asked Goku to chase him until he caught up with Bobris. Okay. Seeing Goku chasing Bobris, King Kai began to take Li Ziming seriously. With his fighting ability, it is obvious that he can learn King Ken and carry it forward. But he didn't know that Li Ziming had already learned it, and he came here just to go through the motions and learn the Genkidama at the same time. Here, I have 2 moves that I can teach you. One is called Kaioken, and the other is called Spirit Bomb. Which one do you want to learn? Lord Kaio, only children make choices. I want to learn everything. Okay, come here, I'll teach you the Kaioken first. Li Ziming went over and learned from King Kai how to use the Kaioken, and then began to teach him carefully. Soon, Li Ziming used double King Kai Ken in front of King Kai, which made King Kai dumbfounded. He thought that the moves he created were being used by someone else all of a sudden. At this moment, he was excited and surprised. In the future, he would be the mentor of such a powerful warrior. Maybe he could avenge himself and defeat the cat. At this moment, Li Ziming felt that the 2x Kaioken was very easy for him to use. He felt that his power should be 20x or 30x Kaioken. If the cells in his body could self-eat, he might be able to reach 50x. King Kai came over and said to him, "Since you have learned the Kaioken, I will teach you the Spirit Bomb, but promise me one thing. When you are strong enough, help me beat someone up." When Li Ziming heard this, he naturally knew who it was. Who else could it be other than the god of destruction Beerus? Okay, I agree. When King Kai heard this, he immediately smiled happily, and then taught Li Ziming how to use the Spirit Bomb. After a short while, he understood it. To put it simply, the Spirit Bomb is to gather your own vitality, and then gather the energy of life, that is, vitality, but the key is that those lives, flowers, plants, trees, people, animals, etc., are willing to lend it to you. Li Ziming, who possessed the power of eating, was naturally very popular with them. As soon as he gathered his vitality, all the flowers and plants on the North Kai King's planet began to emit a trace of vitality, which soon gathered into a vitality bomb. As King Kai threw up a big rock, Li Ziming also fired at it, hitting the rock in an instant and shattering it into pieces, which then disappeared. This is just North Kaio planet. If it were Earth, if it were the world of gourmet food, if it were countless dimensions, how powerful would it be? As expected, the upper limit of the Spirit Bomb is very high. Chapter 87. However, looking at this Spirit Bomb, Li Ziming was reminded of the appetite energy released by the 4 heavenly kings in the world of food, and Pac-Man pure appetite can be turned into a weapon, and the Spirit Bomb is pure life energy. So if this move is replaced with other pure things, can it also become a move? For example, destruction. Also, creation. At this moment, countless thoughts emerged in Li Ziming's mind, and he felt that a path to becoming a god was opening up before him. However, Li Ziming felt that he was not qualified to set foot on it. Obviously, he was still missing something. I can go back and ask Toriko about how to release appetite energy. If I can release it myself, then I can study destruction and creation and gain the qualification. But now, it's almost noon, and it's time to have a meal. Lord Kai, it's time to eat. Oh, I forgot you are all living people. I'll go get ready. No, I'll do it. Li Ziming took out a cow and cut it into several large pieces with a knife in front of King Kai's surprised eyes. Then he took out a barbecue grill, put in coals, and started grilling. Although King Kai was very curious about how he took out the ingredients, he did not ask too much. After all, everyone has secrets. Looking at the cows he had never seen before, the big pieces of meat were very beautiful. After being roasted, the attractive burnt brown feeling immediately appeared, and he was somewhat immersed in it. After a while, the aroma of meat began to spread throughout the entire North King Kai planet. Bobris, Gurgly, and Gaku came over after smelling the scent. They stopped practicing and stared at the barbecue grill. Fortunately, the barbecue grill that Li Ziming bought was big enough to grill a lot of beef, otherwise, with 4 pairs of eyes staring at him, he would be embarrassed to take it out. After a while, Li Ziming used the trigger to sense that the beef was roasted just right, so he asked King Kai and the others to start setting the table. While this was going on, Li Ziming began to mix the seasonings. He took out the spices from his backpack, put them into a gourmet grinder, blended them a few times, and poured them on the meat, and it was perfect. After serving the meat to the table, Li Ziming also took out a few bottles of red wine and placed them in front of them. In front of each person, there was a large piece of roast beef, sizzling with oil. Of course, there were also vegetarian dishes, which were tree bone meat, a combination of meat and vegetables. Thanks for all the food in the world, I'm eating. Eat it. As Li Ziming made the distribution, King Kai and the others started to eat. He was stunned after taking the first bite. He had lived for tens of thousands of years, but this was the first time he tasted such delicious food. Li Ziming took a bite and found the meat very soft and juicy. He thought it was because the frozen bison had lived on the ice continent and had a lot of fat in its body. Everyone started to feast on the food, and soon, a whole 5 or 6 ton frozen bison was eaten by 4 people. Of course, most of it was eaten by Li Ziming and Wukong. After eating and drinking, King Kai drank red wine, thinking back to the delicious food he had just had. He also thought about his old enemy, who had lived longer than him but had never tasted such delicious food. And it was made by the Saiyans who he had people kill. It's really a mistake, ha 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 ha. Verb. Li Ziming looked at the people lying down and savoring the food. It turned out that delicious food was indeed the best. Being full was more important than anything else. However, if they continued to eat in this way, the food in his backpack would not last long. But doing it all the time by myself is not a good idea. It seems that I need to find a partner, preferably a soul mate, so that I can feel at ease and take her to travel through different worlds. We'll talk about it later. In the next few months, I'll lay the foundation and train well here with King Kai. After a few months, I'll go back and drink the century soup. In the following 4 or 5 months, Li Ziming and Gaku began to practice under the guidance of King Kai. After a few days, Gaku adapted to gravity and caught Bobris and Gurgly. During this period, he also met King Kai's requirements and learned King Fist and Spirit Bomb. Li Ziming and Wukong would practice against each other from time to hone their fighting skills. Of course, necessary food Zen is a must. After fighting every day, you start eating Zen, which can last for a whole day or several days at a time. Later, Bulma and his father successfully transformed the spaceship into one with gravity, and its area was expanded several times. After Li Ziming learned about it, he exchanged it for the instant teleportation of the Yadetra people. Points, 5000 learned to teleport. Under the guidance of King Kai, it successfully located the position of the Earth, and instantly went over to get the modified spaceship from Bulma. The other one was placed in the temple by him. The gods summoned the Z warriors of Earth for special training, including Krillin, Yamcha, and Tien Shinyan. Achieve Silver Achievement, a man who won't live off others. Silver Achievement, 100 points. Obtain Silver Achievement, the one with 3 eyes is not necessarily Yangjian. Silver Achievement, 100 points. Achieved Silver Achievement, Dong 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 Bo. Silver Achievement, 100 points. Li Ziming was naturally very happy to see a few familiar figures again. But Yamcha's actions are really difficult to deal with. I don't know if he broke up with Bulma at this time. This is a good opportunity. As for Tien Shinyan and Gyoza, one is a mixed-race 3-eyed alien, and the other is an earthling with superpowers. Li Ziming didn't expect not to see Lan Qi. After all, she is a super beauty with a dual personality. Every time she transforms, even her hair and appearance will change. Looking at the people in front of him, Li Ziming was also very emotional. The Earth in the Dragon Ball world not only has humans, but also many hybrids. It is just like the Earth in Marvel, which not only has mutants, but also various aliens. After sending the spaceship, Li Ziming returned to King Kai's planet and trained with Gaku in the spaceship. With the existence of senzu beans, Li Ziming's attacks became heavier and he almost beat Gaku to death several times. But the ending is good. Goku's combat power soared rapidly from a few hundred to 10,000. Of course, Li Ziming also gained a lot of points, earning 342 points. He finally discovered that if he kept hitting the same person, he could only get points 3 times, and there would be no more points after that. But after these few months of training, the food in Li Ziming's backpack was almost used up, leaving only baby corn cobs and some rainbow juice. Of course, Li Ziming didn't just give the food to King Kai and the others. He also gave some to Master Roshi, Chi-Chi, Raditz-Beak, Gohan, and Bulma. At this moment on the North Kai King planet, a huge corn cob shot straight into the sky, and next to it was a super large beverage machine, which was placed on the North Kai King planet by Ziming. Now, several months have passed, and it's time to return to the world of gourmet food and drink soup. Some of the ingredients are almost cooked. Ziming is very much looking forward to it. Chapter 88. In just half a year, Komatsu reproduced the century soup, and Tina filmed the whole process. The news spread all over the world the next day. For a time, all the media rushed to the gourmet hotel to interview Komatsu about his mental journey and tried to get Komatsu to publish the recipe of the century soup. Komatsu, on the other hand, was acting silly, accepting their interview. It was called an interview, but in fact, he was just waiting for someone. "Everyone, please let me pass. The G7 people are here." A group of food bodyguards appeared in the crowd and surrounded the taste master of G7, who was none other than Patchy among the seven. G7, as the name suggests, consists of 7 taste masters who are selected by IGO from various member countries. They specialize in selecting star-rated hotels and upgrading their stars, as well as ranking chefs' cooking grades. There are 7 people, and each of them has an outstanding sense of taste. If you put a piece of candy in the swimming pool, they can all taste what it tastes like. Now, after hearing that Komatsu has reproduced the century soup, Mr. Patch from G7 also came to taste it and upgraded Komatsu by the way. Upon seeing this, the manager of the gourmet hotel immediately asked Komatsu to prepare the century soup. After all, this was related to the hotel's star upgrade. Maybe after Patch drank it, the hotel would get another star and become a 6-star hotel. Komatsu firmly rejected the manager's urging and apologized to Patch. "Sorry, please come again next time." "Why, am I not qualified enough?" Mr. Patch was very puzzled. It was his first time going to someone else's restaurant and he was directly asked to leave. Komatsu looked at the people in front of him and said righteously, "Because I want some people to taste my replica of the century soup first." Just when everyone was confused, a lot of people suddenly walked into the hall. They were Ziming and Toriko, followed by Teppei, Ling, Setsuno, Maki, Takimaru, and others. "Komatsu, is the soup ready? Let's drink new century's century soup." Komatsu was very excited to see his friends coming, especially when he saw Toriko's arm actually grew back. It was really great. And Mr. Ziming, oh, his long black hair looks even smoother than Mr. Sunny's hair. "Everyone, today we have enough century soup. Mr. Maki, please take some back and let the children in the village taste it. And Mr. Takimaru, please let the gourmet knights taste it too." "Thank you." Mr. Patch, who was standing by, was also stunned when he saw the scene. He never expected that a small chef could know such a celebrity. He really didn't expect that Master Ziming from Shikranji, Toriko from the 4 Heavenly Kings of Gourmet, Setsunorai the National Treasure of Gourmet, Teppei the Regeneration Master, Gourmet Knights and Gourmet Mafia were also there. Watching the lively scene, Patchy also reminded the manager, "The chef who created the soup of the century is now famous. I advise you to hire a bodyguard to protect him." Achieve Silver Achievement, G7 Taste Master Achievement Reward, 100 points. After hearing this, Ziming looked at Patchy from G7 before entering the elevator. If he remembered correctly, there seemed to be people from Neo and G7, and there seemed to be 3 of them. But it doesn't matter. I used to be timid because of my low fighting power, but now my fighting power is so high that I will kill anyone who provokes me. Soon, everyone came to the restaurant and sat down one by one, including Tina, the war correspondent, who was ready for subsequent interviews. Seeing that everyone was ready, Komatsu started serving the century soup to everyone. "Everyone, have a taste of this, the soup of the new century. In honor of all the ingredients in the world, let's drink." The moment the plate was opened, countless auroras appeared in the restaurant, floating in the air, extremely colorful and brilliant. Everyone was amazed when they saw it. "I finally got to drink century soup again, but I don't know what the difference is between it and the old century one." Picking up the spoon, everyone was ready to start drinking. The rich fragrance was irresistible. The sound of the spoon touching the clear century thick soup was simply a moving sound from nature. While thanking the replica Komatsu, everyone was ready to taste this unforgettable flavor. A spoonful of century thick soup goes into the mouth, and the familiar sense of satisfaction surges in, directly penetrating everyone's body. The thick feeling is as if you have eaten a big mouthful of meat. Soon, everyone discovered that, unlike the century soup left in the food window, Komatsu's century soup tasted more familiar, more reassuring, more intoxicating, and felt like returning home. But it makes sense. After all, Komatsu uses ingredients from this century, so it is normal for everyone present to feel this way. Although there was a difference after drinking, there was one thing that did not change, that was the drooping corners of the eyes, the upturned corners of the mouth, and the unstoppable facial expressions, all of which turned into obscene yet satisfied smiles. Hey hey, hey hey, hey hey. Li Ziming looked around and saw the same expression on everyone's faces. It was so obscene to look at, ha 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 ha. Looking at Coco standing beside him, he shyly lay down on the dining table. He had escaped last time, but this time he must see his smiling face. Li Ziming quietly came to Coco's side and directly controlled him. When everyone saw this, they also understood his operation. They worked together to reveal Coco's face, a funny and obscene face that appeared in everyone's sight. Ha 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 ha, Coco, yours is the funniest. The most contrasting one turns out to be Mr. Coco, ha 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 ha. Afterwards, everyone started to feast on the food, and in a short while, they had drunk up all the world soup. At this moment, Toriko also said to Komatsu happily, Komatsu, remember I want to put century soup into my life set meal. Your century soup is better than the old centuries. So my soup dish will be your century soup. Really? It's my pleasure. When everyone heard the conversation between the two, they all agreed very much. After all, this new century soup was so delicious. At this time, Grandma Jinai also discovered the wall penguin nearby, and she knew at a glance that Xiaoyu was the key step to the final soup of the century. Yes, I have to thank Mr. Li Ziming for letting Xiaoyu stay by my side. Otherwise, it would probably take several years for this century's soup to reappear. You two made each other successful, and I was just adding fuel to the fire. Li Ziming waved his hand in reply. At this time, Tepi asked whether Komatsu should apply for a patent to prevent others from copying it. After hearing this, Komatsu pondered for a moment and finally chose not to apply. After all, if he applied, he would have to publish his diet, and penguins were almost extinct, and he couldn't let them be hunted. Besides, this is Mr. Toriko's soup dish. I must protect it well. After hearing this, everyone smiled and started toasting to celebrate. After all, this was a historic moment. Keep serving the food and soup, Komatsu. Tonight, we won't leave until we're drunk. In this way, the banquet lasted until the morning. Not long after, people from G7 also came to taste the century soup. Komatsu's restaurant was directly transformed into a 6-star restaurant. And since then, this gourmet hotel has received reservations from all over the world, and has become one of the top restaurants. Chapter 89. Li Ziming woke up in the presidential suite of the gourmet hotel, opened the curtains and saw that the sun was setting outside. He had a good sleep, and more importantly, there were several big pots of century-thick soup in the system backpack, which he had begged Komatsu for. Later I can invite others to have a taste of this soup of the century. After all, drinking soup is a wonderful thing. At this moment, there was a sudden knock on the door. When I listened to the voices, it turned out to be Komatsu and Toriko. Li Ziming, are you awake yet? Come with us to the land of delicious food to find Yuzo and Sunny. After hearing what Toriko said, Li Ziming was just about to go find Yusaku. What a coincidence! He packed up briefly and followed the two of them. He had originally planned to take the train, but since Li Ziming was there too, he might as well take the somersault cloud. Soon, the three of them rode on the somersault cloud and arrived at the Healing Kingdom. After all, it was not far away. On the way, the three of them drank the century soup, and their obscene smiles reappeared. As soon as I arrived at the door of Yusaku's recycling workshop, I heard the sound of fighting coming from inside. I pushed the door open and saw that it was Yusaku and Sunny fighting. But in the next second, Sunny was lying down with wounds all over his body, and Yusaku was also gloriously injured. Li Ziming naturally knew what was going on. At this time, he was testing Sunny's ability. After all, his target was Acacia's desert Earth. However, he later rashly entered the food world to find out what was going on, and nearly died. But he also met the Queen Snake and had a partner, which was a blessing in disguise. It's better to come at the right time than to come early. I just happened to have something to ask you guys. And they brought century soup, even though we drank some of it. He. Seeing the three of them like this, Yusaku and Sunny were both surprised and happy. The former immediately ran over to taste it, and then showed an obscene smile. The latter looked at the three people and felt physically disgusted. After all, Sunny was known for her beauty. When she saw them showing such an obscene smile after drinking, Sunny immediately refused. But it didn't last long. Looking at the aurora in the sky, Sunny finally couldn't resist the temptation. Ah, it smells so good. Hey hey! In a short while, they finished the box of century soup, and at this time, Li Ziming also took out a few senzu beans. Everyone looked at Li Ziming curiously, wondering why he took out these broad beans. Was it a new variety of food? This kind of bean is called senzu bean. After eating it, you can immediately restore your physical strength, energy, and injuries. If an ordinary person eats one, he or she won't need to eat anything for 10 days. Is this true? Hearing this, everyone was shocked. There actually was such a thing. They had never heard of it before. Seeing that they didn't believe him, Li Ziming distributed the magic beans in his hand to the four of them, telling them to eat them and they would know. After hearing this, several people immediately started to taste it, but they were dumbfounded after putting it in their mouths. These broad beans were just ordinary broad beans, not even as good as the side dishes they usually eat. But the next second, after swallowing the senzu beans, its effect became apparent. The first ones to sense it were Sunny and Yusaku. After all, the two of them were injured after the fight before. After eating the senzu beans, not only did his injuries heal instantly, he also became more energetic and his body energy was instantly restored, which shocked everyone. The effect of the senzu bean is so powerful that it is simply a strategic material. Having the senzu bean is like having a life. Seeing the four surprised people, Li Ziming was not surprised at all. After all, these were senzu beans. Just when they thought they had a lot of senzu beans, Li Ziming's subsequent words hit them hard. I don't have many senzu beans left, so I came here to see if Master Yusaku can cultivate them and grow more senzu beans. Hearing this, Yusaku's eyes suddenly lit up. This was exactly what he was aiming for. If he could breed the senzu beans, he would become the greatest person ever. Okay, I accept. I will use all my life's knowledge to make more senzu beans. Hearing this, Li Ziming also took out 10 senzu beans, handed them to Yusaku, and told him, you, I, and they all know about this. It's okay for the 5 of us to know about it. Don't tell anyone else. Otherwise, if the secret of the senzu beans is leaked, I'm afraid there will be another war. After hearing this, the 4 people present realized the seriousness of the matter and vowed not to tell anyone about it. Upon seeing this, Li Ziming gave each person another magic bean and asked them to keep it properly to prevent future accidents. Afterwards, he and Zhou studied senzu beans in the workshop, while the others went back to their homes. After all, they all had their own things to do. After sending Komatsu back to the hotel, Li Ziming and Toriko returned home, having not been back for several months. When they came back, they found the house was still there. They were very happy as it now had a place to stay at night. As soon as they landed, their friends surrounded them and started licking them, leaving them covered in saliva. Li Ziming looked at the 3 unicorn bears, 1 Nilong, 2 Dowolves and 3 unicorn bears in front of him, and took out a pot of century soup from his system backpack and shared it with them. Yi Nilong, it's delicious. Erdu Wolf, not bad, it tastes great. 3-headed unicorn bear, I knew I followed the right person. Big bear, give me some more of the century soup. After they finished drinking the century soup, Sydney and Terry brought them a few packages with the Eagle logo on them. Li Ziming and Toriko looked at each other and were very confused, but when they opened it, they were overjoyed. It turned out to be rainbow fruit wine. The alcohol content was 85%. After they collected the rainbow fruits, they asked Yuhanes to help them find a first-class winemaker to take some fruits to make wine. It was obviously brewed and sent over, enough for 20 bottles. There are just 10 bottles for each of us, which is enough for 2 people. However, Li Ziming saw the appearance of the rainbow fruit wine, and it was obvious that it was almost time for Toriko to undergo a rapid transformation. By the way, Li Ziming, I'm going to meet President Yulong tomorrow, do you want to go? Oh, sure. I was just thinking of competing with President Yulong. Li Ziming became excited when he heard Toriko's words. Before, his fighting power was low and he was knocked down by President Yulong. Now that he is strong, he has to fight back. There is nothing he can do about it. It's his own fault for being so narrow-minded. So, the next morning, Li Ziming and Toriko went to where President Yulong was. The secret island is Chairman Yulong's exclusive secret location, a holiday cottage known only to very few people. After ringing the doorbell, a man appeared soon. This man was Chairman Yulong's butler, Mo Tan. Seeing that Toriko had brought guests with her, Mo Tan quickly brought them in. The moment Li Ziming walked in, he saw a golden fish in the fish tank nearby. It was particularly beautiful. Looking at him, Li Ziming suddenly felt an appetite surge in his heart. Energy Bone Tongue Fish, Special Fish Capture Level 39. Chapter 90. For a moment, Li Ziming and Toriko both took a fancy to the fish, but compared to Li Ziming's appetite, Toriko just thought it was delicious. Mo Tan looked at the saliva flowing from the two people and suddenly felt a bad premonition, then said to them, "This is one of only 4 remaining bone-tongue fish in the world. It is an ornamental fish and cannot be eaten." Mo Tan's words might be able to fool Toriko, but it was obviously impossible to fool Li Ziming. After all, this energy bony tongue fish could actually arouse his appetite, so it must be edible. Although he could have snatched the fish away, since they were all familiar faces after all, Li Ziming decided to try another approach and see if he could get the fish from President Yulong. Soon, the two were brought by Mo Tan to President Yulong, who was seen lying leisurely on a chair in the small garden. Seeing this, Toriko also took out a souvenir, rainbow fruit wine, and placed it on the table next to her. 85% rainbow fruit wine, it's a great gift, isn't it, President? Not bad, not bad, it looks delicious. As soon as he finished speaking, Li Ziming saw President Yulong, who opened the wine and poured a glass for each of the 3 people, then drank it in one gulp. The next second, he started to get drunk. After all, although President Yulong was very powerful, he had a poor alcohol tolerance. However, he recovered quickly because he also had a gourmet taste. Then, President Yulong looked at the two of them. "You've heard a lot of things recently, like century soup and the capture of GT robots. It's okay, just so. So, Dad, do you have any ingredients you want us to catch?" Hearing this, President Yulong smiled slightly and said, "Yes, God or something like that." Toriko instantly became excited after hearing this, and stood up and said to President Yulong, "Since you said so, does it mean that God will really appear in the next few years?" Chairman Yulong also immediately confirmed it, and then told the two of them about his past, including Acacia being his master, and the matter of Master Jiro and Midora. After Acacia settled the war, the world officially entered the era of gourmet food, but the menu of life, including God, did not leave them any information. The previous appearance of God calmed the war, but this time the appearance of God will trigger a new war. It is a cycle of cause and effect. However, this time, the fight will definitely be more brutal than any previous one, because there are already countless people targeting God. Then let me take over, and you just take a good rest, Dad. Ha 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 ha. Seeing how serious Toriko was, not only President Yulong laughed, but Li Ziming also laughed. I have to say that Toriko is now too confident, thinking that after regenerating her arm, she will have the ability to survive in the food industry. You've never even been to the food world, but you're so arrogant, kid. You're still far from it. President Yulong smiled and took off his shirt, ready to test Toriko's strength, break his inflated heart, and make him realize his own strength. Toriko was also very excited when he saw this. Although he hadn't fought with the president for a long time, he seemed very confident and said that he would not show mercy. Li Ziming also stood up when he saw this. "Take me with you." "Sure." Later, under the leadership of President Yulong, they went to a deserted island, ready to fight there. After all, the president didn't want his holiday cottage to be destroyed. The 3 of them showed off their magical powers. A dragon jumped across the water, Li Ziming flew directly over, and as for the most inexperienced Toriko, he could only take a boat ride miserably. After arriving at the deserted island, Li Ziming also watched the fight from the sidelines, letting President Yulong fight with Toriko first. The two were seen standing on one side of the island. When Li Ziming indicated the start of the battle, Toriko opened fire at full force and threw a flying knife at President Yulong. But as soon as the flying knife flew in front of President Yulong, it was blown away by him. Seeing this, Toriko was not discouraged at all. With his regenerated left arm, he threw a flying fork, pinning President Yulong to the spot, then activated 13 consecutive nail punches and hammered the president in the stomach. President Yulong took it all on. Cracks appeared under his feet, but his body did not move back a single step. Toriko was very angry when he saw this, and immediately followed up with a cross leg and leg blade, but was directly knocked out by President Yulong and crashed into another island. Taking advantage of this gap, Toriko also hit the president with 13 consecutive ice spike punches with his right hand. But the president easily pinned her down with his fingers, and suddenly threw a punch. Toriko was instantly knocked dozens of meters away, skipping on the water, and finally stopped after hitting a rock. Afterwards, President Yulong came to his side and praised Toriko's growth, which was faster than he had imagined. Then I can venture into the food industry now. I have some strength, but I can't survive in the food world with just that. After all, the most terrifying thing over there is not the beasts and food, but the special environment and climate. With your current abilities, you probably won't survive a day over there. Li Ziming also came here at this moment. After hearing what President Yulong said, he also agreed very much. After all, Toriko still has a long way to go. But when Toriko heard this, he was naturally dissatisfied. It was also after this incident that he decided to venture into the food industry on his own. It's my turn next, President. Haha, come on, let me see how you've grown. But Li Ziming didn't rush to make a move, only because he wanted to make a bet with President Yulong to add some spice, otherwise the fight would be boring. Don't be impatient, President, do you want to make a bet? Oh, how do you bet? If I win, you'll give me your energy bone tongue fish. If you win, you can set any conditions and let me do anything. When President Yulong heard this, he smiled slightly. It turned out that he was waiting for him here. After all this time, it was just for his fish. Do you think you can beat me? Such a big request. You will know once you try it. Chairman Yulong's expression immediately became serious. He looked at Li Ziming, trying to detect other emotions from his face, but in the end, he only saw confidence and calmness. Now the president was getting upset. Could it be possible that Li Ziming could really surpass him? In just the past half year, had he grown to this point? I agree. Come on, let me see your strength. Chapter 91. As Toriko said start, the battle between Li Ziming and President Yulong began. Recalling the battle with President Yulong, I had to transform into a giant ape to fight him. Now, it is time to repay President Yulong. President, remember to use all your strength, otherwise you will die. After saying this, Li Ziming also burst out with the momentum of a million fighting forces, and all the strong people on the entire planet looked in this direction. When Toriko saw this scene, he was stunned. Is this still the Li Ziming he knew? How come he has become so powerful after not seeing him for a few months? When President Yulong saw this, he instantly felt creepy. He actually felt the threat of death from Li Ziming. At this moment, all the cells in his body were concentrated to deal with Li Ziming's moves. But he came in front of President Yulong in an instant and punched him, knocking him away before he could react. Chairman Yulong in midair also realized that he had underestimated Li Ziming. He then used the repulsive force to stabilize his body and began to fight back. Knock on the dishes. Countless small chopsticks gathered together and became one big chopstick, which poked towards him. He immediately fought back with Qigong. The next second, the two collided, emitting a dazzling light. President Yulong thought that the stalemate would last for a while, but the next second, the Qigong wave defeated his knocking bowls and chopsticks and attacked him. He was so frightened that he immediately activated the anti-repulsion force and shifted his body directly, allowing the Qigong wave to pass by him. Unexpectedly, the next second, Li Ziming came up and quickly attacked President Yulong. President Yulong immediately fought back and fought with him. But Li Ziming's strength was surprisingly great. Although he was able to unload the force every time, with this fast punch, President Yulong found that the cells in his body did not have time to unload all the force. Helplessly, he could only transform the will of all cells in his body from defense to attack and fight back. Suddenly, a burst of energy spread out from the two people's fists. At this moment, Toriko on the side was completely jaw-dropping. This was a battle between strong men, and his eyes could not even keep up with their fight. As the two men fought, everything around them was shaking, the island collapsed and cracks opened up, and countless ripples continued to spread out from the water. The two men in midair exchanged punches again, and President Yulong was knocked out again by Li Ziming's fist. It was during this duel that President Yulong realized that Li Ziming's strength had surpassed his own and was even stronger than his former teacher Acacia. He once again used the repulsive force to stabilize his body. He could even imagine that the future god would probably fall into Li Ziming's hands. However, President Yulong did not admit defeat. He floated in the air and said those 5 words. Minority barrier. After hearing these 5 words, Li Ziming's body suddenly changed. Some cells began to escape his control. He gradually started to give up and fight back, which actually caused him to make mistakes. Next, it's my turn to attack. Chopstick cannon. Li Ziming saw the president throwing a huge chopstick at him. He thought he could easily dodge it, but he was one step too late in the minority barrier. Although he dodged his head in time, his shoulder was still hit, and Li Ziming was knocked out. Chairman Yulong thought that he would knock Li Ziming back several kilometers, but who knew that he only knocked Li Ziming back a few meters, leaving marks on his shoulders without even breaking his skin. Li Ziming felt the power of the chopstick cannon, which was indeed not to be underestimated. If he hadn't wrapped his body with qi, it might have pierced his shoulder directly. Sure enough, the abilities of this world are still too weird, especially President Yulong's, who can actually make individual cells in other people's bodies revolt and even counterattack other people's spirits. His fighting ability is not as good as mine, but he has lived for hundreds of years and should not be underestimated. Li Ziming directly started the self-cannibalism mode, but on a small scale, sending out the S cells in his body to start devouring the rebellious cells. But he discovered that as long as he devoured one rebel in President Yulong's minority barrier, 2 rebels would appear in other places, just like Marvel's Hydra, when one head is cut off, 2 heads will appear. Helplessly, he could only get rid of this state through coercive means. Li Ziming originally thought that he didn't need to use this skill, but this situation arose and he had to use it first. Double Kaioken. In an instant, Li Ziming used King Ken to directly control all the power in his body and use it for his own benefit. Now the minority barrier could no longer affect him. Chairman Yulong saw this and saw that Li Ziming had broken through his minority barrier, so he activated his own secret technique, the 10,000 Foods * King Chopsticks. In an instant, the president launched countless single chopsticks, which scattered like a group of dragon stars, then gathered together again and fired towards Li Ziming. After seeing this, Li Ziming became excited. He knew he would not lose this time. After all, he was on the right side and he had specially learned that move. Stand in a horse stance, put your hands together in the shape of a calyx, then place them at your waist and gather the energy in your hands. Turtle. School. Qi. Gong. In the sky, 2 rays of light, one blue and one gold, collided with each other in an instant, bursting into white light. The next moment, the blue light defeated the golden chopsticks and finally hit President Yulong. Dad. Defeat Yulong and get 6,000 points. Seeing the system prompt appear, Li Ziming immediately came to President Yulong's side and looked at him lying in the pit, looking at him with his eyes open. It was obvious that nothing was wrong. However, Li Ziming also took out a senzu bean and fed it to Yulong. Yulong looked at the bean curiously and then swallowed it directly. Yulong was also stunned. What the hell was this thing? After swallowing it, his injuries healed immediately, and his energy was restored. He felt like his body was also reconditioned. What on earth are you? This is senzu beans. Li Ziming also explained the effect of senzu beans to President Yulong, and the matter of entrusting them to Yusaku to breed. Indeed, this senzu bean is indeed a strategic material. It is reasonable to let Zou breed it. At this time, Toriko also came here, and when she saw President Yulong, she stood up as if nothing had happened, and immediately realized that he had been fed senzu beans. It's okay. I didn't expect you, Li Ziming, to be able to defeat Dad. It's really shocking. Li Ziming felt that it was not surprising that he won. After all, it was just a competition, not a life and death battle. If he really fought to the death, he might not be able to beat President Yulong. After all, he didn't use the food demon. You have to know that the gourmet demon in his body is the leader slime, who has ruled the Black Universe several times. In his heyday, he was so powerful that he could blow up a star with one punch. By the way, President, since I won, that fish. Okay, I'll ask Moten to give you the energy bone tongue fish later. Thank you, President. Chapter 92. Returning to Chairman Yulong's holiday cottage, Li Ziming also saw the energy bone tongue fish that he had been longing for. However, we got the fish, but the question is how to eat it. We can ask Komatsu later, after all, he is more professional than us. As for the ingredients, Li Ziming also thought of 3, one is the stars of milk, one is the oil of Morse Mountain, and the last one is the golden wheat for comprehensive production. Although he doesn't know if they will come in handy, Li Ziming feels that these 3 golden ingredients will definitely be useful. President Yulong, sensing Li Ziming's appetite, looked at Toriko again. The gap had already appeared. In order to allow Toriko to improve his strength as quickly as possible, he decided to assign work to Toriko and improve his strength at the same time. Toriko, help me catch some ingredients. Epsilon equals Omicron asterisk. Hey, what do you want to eat? I just want to eat the grass that grows tens of thousands of meters high in the sky, ozone grass. Not only is it delicious, but it also gives you some exercise. Li Ziming looked at the 2 people chatting on the side. He must eat the ozone grass himself, but he should let Toriko and Komatsu experience the process themselves. When they are about to reach the top, I can go over there. Before that, I will put the energy bony tongue fish at home and then catch those ingredients. Soon, the 2 finished their conversation and Toriko looked at him. Ziming, do you want to go with us? No, I'm going to go catch some other ingredients to go with the energy fish. You take Komatsu with you. Okay. The 2 then said goodbye to President Yulong, boarded the somersault cloud, and flew towards home. It's a pity that I don't have enough points now to upgrade the system backpack into a small world, otherwise Li Ziming would have put the energy bone tongue fish in it directly. Soon, they returned home, and Li Ziming put the energy bony tongue fish into his living room. Keep it at home for now, and find time to invite friends and family to come over to taste its flavor together. At this time, Toriko came over and said that she had made an appointment with Komatsu to have dinner at the food tower in the evening, and asked Li Ziming if he wanted to go. You guys eat, I won't go. You can have a frank chat with Komatsu. After all, President Ichilong also told you about the partnership. I'll think about it. After going out and touching 1 Nilong, 2 Dalang and 3 unicorn bears, Li Ziming's mood improved a lot. It turns out that he still needs to get some pets. Suddenly, Li Ziming remembered that there was a lightning fire phoenix, glorious phoenix, near the vine that Toriko was going to climb. It seemed like it would be nice to raise a golden bird. It is said that its meat is also very delicious. You can go back and take a look to decide whether it is better to eat it or keep it as a pet. After resting for a while, Li Ziming prepared to set off. The earlier he caught the ingredients, the sooner he could eat the energy bony tongue fish. After bidding farewell to Toriko and his companions, Li Ziming flew towards Mount Melk, first capturing the stars of Melk and then decorating the fish of Mount Morse. As for the golden wheat, you need to ask Tom or Grandma Jinai. It didn't take long for Li Ziming to reach the foot of Mount Melk. Looking at the huge steps, one could see how big Melk was. Nowadays, who would still walk on stairs after learning to fly? Li Ziming flew directly up and came to Melk's workshop. As soon as he arrived, he saw the second-generation Melk and Vampire King Kong placing kitchen utensils in the package at the door. Achieve Silver Achievement, Melk's Workshop. Achievement Reward, 100 points. Achieve Silver Achievement, Second Generation Melk. Achievement Reward, 100 points. Achievement obtained, Workshop Porter. Achievement Reward, 10 points. After Li Ziming landed, the 2 people over there also noticed him. The second generation Melk was very surprised because no one had come here for several years. Who are you and what are you doing here? I'm here to find Melk. The second generation Melk on the opposite side put down the kitchen knife in his hand and came to Li Ziming. I'm the grinder Melk. If you want me to make or grind kitchen knives, I'm sorry, but my appointments are already scheduled for several years later. Looking at the second generation Melk who was taking advantage of the power of others, Li Ziming also burst out laughing. It was all because of the first generation Melk's small voice. With a flash, Li Ziming arrived in front of the second generation Melker. Are you really Melk? Why don't I believe you? The second generation Melk's face turned red and he quickly stepped back. This was the first time a man was so close to him. Her voice began to tremble, and she said to Li Ziming, I am Melk, believe it or not, please leave. Seeing the second generation Melk in such a state, Li Ziming stopped teasing her. Sorry, I am Li Ziming from Shilin Temple. I came here to get some Melk's stars. Shilin Temple, I seem to have heard of it somewhere. Our Zhenzhen Town Normal School is a friend of the first generation of Melk. After hearing this, the second generation Melk understood that the other party knew about the first generation Melk, so he teased him like this. UBD. Sorry, I have to go to Heavy Hole to get some Melk's stars. I think the first milk is also there. If you have anything to say to him, I can help you convey it. When the second generation milk heard Li Ziming's words, he was also shocked. He hadn't seen his father for 6 years. For a moment, he didn't know what to do. After looking at her for a while, Li Ziming heard the second generation milk's answer, "Help me tell my master, I miss him so much." At this moment, Li Ziming saw the flickering light in the eyes of the second generation milk, agreed to her commission, and then turned and left. Heading north from Milk Mountain, about 30 kilometers away, you will reach Heavy Hole. Because of the unique air pressure and magnetic field here, it is more easily affected by gravity and the gravity is very strong. And this is also the deepest underground cave in the human world. Milk's star is right below, and the first generation of milk is also below. Li Ziming looked at it for a while and then jumped down. Without using the flying skill, Li Ziming's body began to fall rapidly due to the local environment and the influence of gravity. In less than a minute, he had descended nearly 10,000 meters. Li Ziming also stopped at this time, and then he saw the beast here, Balbamos, hiding in the cave. Balbamos, mammalian capture level 44. I ignored these beasts. After all, they didn't look tasty, they were covered with thorns and had 2 heads. Seeing more and more Balbamos appearing, Li Ziming only exuded a hint of intimidation, and the beasts shrank back into the cave in fear. Li Ziming then continued to descend. If he remembered correctly, there seemed to be jewel crabs here. The gravity at this moment was dozens of times heavier than before, but he seemed very relaxed. This gravity was of no pain to him at all. But soon, Li Ziming reached the bottom of Heavy Hole and did not find any trace of ruby crab. He thought he was unlucky and the ruby crabs had hidden themselves away, but who would have thought that the next second, he would see many brilliant red lights. Ruby crab, crustacean capture level 46. Chapter 93. Li Ziming looked at the red light not far away with surprise. He walked over and saw a bunch of ruby crabs in the cave. I searched for him everywhere, but when I turned around, I saw the ruby crab right there where the lights were dim. Sure enough, my luck in eating is pretty good, otherwise I wouldn't have encountered this group of ruby crabs. Looking at this group of ruby crabs, Li Ziming drooled. I express my gratitude for the food in this world, ruby crab, and I'm ready to eat. Li Ziming directly released his powerful pressure, causing the group of ruby crabs to die painlessly in their sleep. Catch ruby crab x66, get points 3036. Looking at these ruby crabs, Li Ziming put them into his backpack, then took one out and started eating. As the top-grade crab, it does not need to be cooked and is very delicious when eaten raw. The key is the gravity of this place, which creates the ruby crab. The crab meat in its body is well protected, chewy, smooth and delicious. Moreover, the size of these ruby crabs is even larger than that of king crabs, almost half the size of a kamatsu. The weight of one is about 10 kilograms, but the edible meat inside is only about 8 or 9 kilograms, and the shell alone weighs more than 10 kilograms. After all, it is a ruby crab, and its appearance is ruby. Li Ziming thinks that Kikai will definitely like it very much. After all, this is all money. Li Ziming ate while walking, and in just a few bites, he finished the ruby crab. Of course, he had to keep the shell, either as a gift or as a work of art. As for the other ruby crabs, Li Ziming did not take them out. He planned to go back and eat them with his friends. Of course, the most important reason is that he is about to find the first generation milk, because an oversized scorpion bull appeared in front of him. Scorpion bull, mammalian capture level 53. Hey, where is milk? Take me to him. Who do you think you are? Li Ziming. Defeat the scorpion bull and gain 53 points. The scorpion bull touched the bag on his head and immediately ran away. Li Ziming followed him immediately. This scorpion bull is really mean. He won't stop until I give him a beating. After following for a while, Li Ziming also felt a blade energy coming from where the scorpion demon bull ran. Li Ziming saw this and realized that it should be the first generation milk who was grinding the kitchen knife entrusted by President Yulong to process the salad air in Acacia's life menu. When we arrived at the workshop of the first generation milk, we saw countless sharp kitchen knives all around and the walls were covered with countless knife marks. And in the middle, the one grinding milker's star is the first milker himself. Achieve Gold Achievement, the #1 grinder in the world of gourmet food achievement reward, 1000 points. Hearing the footsteps behind him, the first generation milk stopped grinding, looked at Li Ziming, and muttered something. Looking at the appearance of the first generation milk, Li Ziming was also very speechless. Didn't anyone remind him that his voice was very soft? Before I could hear what he said, the first milk continued grinding. Then Li Ziming looked at the scorpion bowl next to him, but he just stood there trembling all over, not daring to move. Now, Li Ziming finally understood. It turned out that the two of them had not found the amplifying stone yet. He scratched his head speechlessly, and suddenly, he thought of something. Since you speak softly, then I can just hear it louder. System Master, by Zebra's voice. Minus 5,000 points. The next second, Zebra's gourmet devil appeared in Li Ziming's body and in front of the Saiyan giant ape. Seeing the food coming in front of him, the Saiyan giant ape smashed it with one punch and then began to eat it. Soon, the gourmet demon disappeared, and the Saiyan giant ape also changed. Not only could it hear very far and small sounds, but the sounds also became destructive. Then the Saiyan giant ape began to give feedback to Li Ziming, and his body began to change. Now, he has Zebra's hell ears, which not only allows him to hear sounds from far away, but also allows him to use his skills. Li Ziming made a sound directly, which reached the ears of the first generation Milk. Hello, Mr. Milk, I have something to talk to you about. The first generation Milk put down the kitchen knife and said to Li Ziming, I told you I was doing some important work, please stop bothering me, or I'll beat the shit out of you. Seeing the first generation Milk turning around again, Li Ziming immediately stated his purpose. The second Milk has something to ask of me. Oh my! Second generation, you've met my daughter. How is she? Is her work going well? Li Ziming saw that the first generation Milk's face changed instantly. He was indeed a daughter-obsessed person. His tone changed when he talked about his daughter. Then he relayed what Milk's daughter said about missing him. Hearing this, the first generation's face was filled with loneliness. I came here for my work. This is also the last work of my life, and it will be completed soon. That's why I allowed my daughter to come out with the title of the second generation and start grinding in her own name before I left 6 years ago. Can you believe it? When she was 15, her grinding skills were as good as mine. That's why I left with peace of mind. Seeing the first generation Milk getting excited when talking about his daughter, Li Ziming couldn't bear to tell him the fact. After all, he might be stunned after hearing it. But what needs to be said must be said, so Li Ziming told the first generation of Milk the cruel truth. Well, actually, your daughter didn't hear anything you said before you left. Sigma, degree. Not only that, I estimate that in your entire life together, she didn't hear 99% of what you said. Sigma, A. To be honest, if I hadn't used some special means, I wouldn't have been able to hear you. Hasn't anyone told you that your voice is really too soft? How could this happen? Hearing his words, the first generation Milk was completely dumbfounded. So that's how it was. He said that when his daughter was little, she would always come to him to get close to him whenever he spoke. So that's how it was. Upon seeing this, Li Ziming hurriedly comforted the first generation and said that the kitchen knives produced by the second generation of Milk are also very good. Then he took out the kitchen knife he bought at the gourmet department store. When the first generation took it and looked at it, it was indeed the work of his daughter. It seemed that she had not slacked off and lived up to her title of grinder. Thank you, young man, for the information you brought me. What should I call you? Let me introduce myself. I'm the teacher of Shilin Temple, Li Ziming. When the first generation heard this, they immediately understood Li Ziming's identity. It turned out that he was one of their own, Shilin Temple, so you are Zhen Zhen's apprentice, why are you here? Li Ziming explained to the first generation that he came here to capture the Star of Milk. The first generation then understood that this was his real purpose, to bring a message to him, and it was just for the sake of convenience. Since we are all family, then come with me. I will take you to where the Milk Star is. After leaving the workshop of the first generation Milk, the two soon came to a place shining with golden light. Looking around, there were actually golden and glittering milk stars all around. This is the Milk Star, take it. Chapter 94. Based on the nearby scene, the main quest is now released, capture the stars of milk. Task reward, 6,000 points. Li Ziming was very excited when he looked at these golden stars of milk, not because of anything else, but because of the saliva flowing from the corners of his mouth. After all, this is Milk's star. As the top seasoning in the human world, it contains the ultimate deliciousness that people have never tasted before. Coming to the milk stars, Li Ziming picked up one and put it in his backpack. Complete the main quest and capture Milk Star task reward, 6,000 points. That's all I need. Take some more. There's a huge area of stars in Milk, covering several kilometers. After hearing what the first generation of Milk said, Li Ziming was stunned. There are so many stars in Milk. How were they formed? Then, Li Ziming put the Milk stars within dozens of meters around him into his backpack. From now on, he would never lack seasonings. However, it should be noted that the Milk stars need to be paired with top-notch ingredients to bring out the best in the dish. If ordinary ingredients are used, they may overshadow the flavor of the ingredients. Now that the mission is completed and Milk Star has been captured, it is time for Li Ziming to leave. After all, there are still 2 ingredients waiting for him. Uncle Milk, do you have anything to say that I need to convey to the second generation? I can tell her later. The first generation Milk thought about it, a smile appeared on his face, and he said to Li Ziming, "Tell my daughter that she is my eternal pride and I am proud of her. When I finish this work, I can go back to see her." Okay, got it. See you next time, Uncle Milk. After bidding farewell to the first generation of Milk, Li Ziming also flew towards the surface with several tons of Milk stars and left heavy hole. When he flew out, the sky was already dark, so he probably didn't stay down there for very long. Afterwards, Li Ziming flew towards Milk's workshop and soon reached the top, but saw billowing white smoke. He thought the second generation of Milk was cooking. Li Ziming was happy thinking that he could have a free meal. But as soon as he landed, he was stunned. It turned out that the white smoke was not produced by cooking, but by hot springs. At this moment, the second generation Milk, who was taking a hot spring bath, stood up, stretched, and then saw Li Ziming not far away. The two of them stared at each other in an instant. Ah! Oh wow, so white! Looking at the escaping second generation Milk, Li Ziming stayed where she was awkwardly. After this incident, she thought she would build a partition for the hot spring. Not long after, Li Ziming looked at the neatly dressed but slightly red-faced second generation Milk sitting opposite him with a little embarrassment. At this moment, the two of them had been in a stalemate for half an hour and had no idea what to say. Finally, Li Ziming couldn't stand it anymore and decided to break the awkward atmosphere. I saw your master. Real. The second generation's face instantly became happy, and she immediately forgot what had just happened. She hadn't seen her father for 6 years, and she was very excited to hear news about the first generation again. Upon seeing this, Li Ziming explained that the first generation was using the stars of Milk to sharpen the last kitchen knife of his life, which was why he stayed there for so long. Hearing this, the second generation felt relieved. She hadn't seen her father for so many years that she thought she had become an orphan. By the way, the first generation has something I want to tell you. What are you talking about? Upon hearing this, the second generation immediately came over and stared at Li Ziming. Looking at the anxious second generation, Li Ziming then told her exactly what the first generation had said. Hearing the praise from the first generation and the promise he made to me, I thought that it wouldn't be long before I would be able to see my father again. Thank you. They are all small things. By the way, I'll give you some of Milk's stars. After that, Li Ziming took out a large piece of Milk's star from his backpack and handed it to the second generation Milk. In an instant, the whole room lit up. The second generation Milk was also stunned at this moment. It was the first time for her to see the stars of Milk. It was so beautiful. This is not only the best grinding material, but also contains countless amino acids, making it the most special seasoning. Now that we have taken out the Milk star, we naturally have to taste it. As for the ingredients, it is of course the ruby crab. Good ingredients must be paired with the best seasonings. Would you like to eat ruby crab with Milk star? Think. Seeing the second generation Milk so excited, Li Ziming was also excited. After all, this was Milk's star. I followed the second generation to the kitchen and looked around. I saw all kinds of kitchen utensils, so I could start cooking. High-end ingredients often only require the simplest cooking methods. After working for 2.5 minutes, Chef Li began to make steamed ruby crab. Clean 2 ruby crabs, cut and crack open their claws and legs, put them in a steamer and start steaming. Soon, the 2 red ruby crabs became even more rosy, and the crystal clear crab meat became even more tempting. The second generation Milk, who was watching on the side, was drooling at the corners of his mouth. One can imagine how delicious this steamed ruby crab is. When they arrived at the dining table, Ziming and his second generation also tasted the steamed ruby crab. The crab meat is silky and tender when eaten, and is full of freshness and fragrance. Unlike eating it raw, it is more tender and smooth after cooking, which not only satisfies the appetite but also satisfies the teeth. Then, Ziming took out a small piece of milk star, put it in his hand and applied force. The next second, the hard milk star turned into its true appearance, powder. Sprinkle the gold powder evenly on the crab meat, and it instantly emits a golden light. After looking at each other, the two put the crab meat into their mouths to taste it. It was still as silky and smooth in the mouth, but the taste became more mellow and full of deliciousness. At this moment, two words emerged in their minds: delicious. The taste is too strong, but it goes very well with the ruby crab. After all, they are both sparkling. With the blessing of milk stars, the two ruby crabs on the table were quickly eaten up by them. Although he was still a little unsatisfied, Ziming felt that he should not eat too much of this thing. If he ate it for a long time, he might not be able to eat other food later. As expected, milk stars also have their pros and cons. Now that he had tasted the stars of milk, Ziming prepared to leave, go home to sleep, and look for other ingredients tomorrow. But at this time, the second generation milk saw this and said to him, "It's already so late, why not stay for one night?" Chapter 95. No words were spoken that night. In the morning, Ziming woke up from the second bedroom. It was not milk who woke him up, but the flapping sound of the vampire's wings. When I walked out of the room, I saw that the second generation milk had already gotten up and started grinding. As expected of a world-renowned grinder, he had a lot of work to do. Seeing milk working seriously, Ziming did not disturb him. He walked into the kitchen, made a simple meal with the ingredients in the kitchen, and then left quietly. After a while, the second generation milk also stopped the work at hand, not because of anything else, but because he smelled the fragrance. Looking at the food in the kitchen and seeing that no one was in the second bedroom, she immediately understood everything. Then she smiled knowingly and started to taste the food. Tasty! At this time, Ziming had already arrived near the Morse Mountains. Looking at the surrounding environment, he felt particularly comfortable. I know the taste of nature. Although we are not close yet, the Death Falls, one of the 3 largest waterfalls in the world, is still on the other side of the Morse Mountains. Ziming felt the moisture in the air, which he thought was due to the impact of the waterfall over there, causing the water vapor to drift towards him. The Morse Mountains are the 5th highest mountains in the human world, standing at 15,000 meters, and the mountain top of the Morse Mountains is Death Falls. Death Falls, also known as the Execution Falls, has 1 trillion liters of water falling every minute, like a depth charge, crushing everything it touches. The thickness of this waterfall is about 1 kilometer. Even an intercontinental missile cannot blow up a waterfall of this thickness. However, because the Morse Mountains have special filtering properties, all nutrients are absorbed and filtered countless times by the mountains and flow into the caves of Death Falls. This is the process of the formation of Morse oil. The fish that lives in Morse's oil is the shining silk fish. To this day, people still don't know how they broke through the waterfall and appeared in Morse's oil. Not long after, Ziming also arrived here and saw the towering waterfall. He estimated that even the Ligero mammoth would have difficulty surviving if it fell into it. Achieve Silver Achievement, a waterfall with 1 trillion liters of water falling per minute. Achievement reward, 100 points. Based on the nearby scene, the main task is now released to capture the shining silk foot fish. Task reward, 7,000 points. Ziming looked at the waterfall in front of him. Although he could use spike punches and super flying shovels to counterattack and push the water of the waterfall up, he didn't want to waste his energy because he had a simpler method. He stretched out the index and middle fingers of his right hand, placed them on his forehead, and felt carefully. Soon he could sense the faint breath of the shiny silk foot fish in the cave behind the Death Waterfall. In a flash, Ziming crossed the Death Falls 1 kilometer away and came into the cave. Looking at the golden pool in front of us, this is all nutrient-rich and very refreshing Morse oil. There are also countless shiny silk foot fish in it. There are dozens of them. Although this shiny silk fish is a special cooking ingredient and the difficulty of catching it is around 80 or 90, the capture level is below level 1 and it can be caught with just a scoop net. However, it will oxidize immediately if it is separated from Morse oil, so the best way to cook it is to fry it. Morse's oil made the shiny silk fish famous, and the shiny silk fish also cannot do without Morse's oil. Li Ziming took out the food preservation box and put it into more oil, then controlled the trigger and started catching the shiny silk fish. Soon, more than a dozen shiny silk fish appeared in the gem storage box. Complete the main mission and capture the shiny silk foot fish. Task reward, 7,000 points. After looking at the number, I found that it was enough for me to eat. If I want to eat more later, I can come over and catch some. Hanging the food preservation box around his waist, Li Ziming filled several dozen liters of morse oil and put it into the system backpack. Li Ziming was ready to leave, but it was a pity that it was still early, and without the starry sky and eating the shiny silk fish, there was no atmosphere at all. After teleporting back home, he prepared to have some shiny silk fish with his animal friends tonight. Now we have the seasoning and oil, all we need is the golden wheat. Li Ziming put down the food storage box and called mother-in-law Jinai. After all, she was going to prepare a full set of ingredients, so she had to ask for her permission first. Soon, the call was connected, and the voice of Grandma Jino was heard from the other end. "Oh, Ziming, how come you have time to call me? Granny G, do you know where the golden wheat is?" "Golden wheat, you mean I make comprehensive ingredients?" "Yes." Li Ziming then told Grandma Jinai about how he obtained the energy bony tongue fish. He thought his gourmet cells liked it, so he wanted to cook it. "I feel like golden wheat might be needed to pair it with the other ingredients and see if it's suitable for cooking." Hearing Li Ziming's words, Grandma Jinai seemed very generous and explained to him that the golden wheat was actually grown on the sea. "But it makes sense. Golden wheat needs long-term exposure to sunlight to grow. Even at night, it can emit very bright light." If he remembered correctly, the local residents there also regarded it as a lighthouse. After thanking Grandma Jinai, Li Ziming hung up the phone and flew in that direction. Not long after, he arrived at the sea area. The place where golden wheat is grown is also very close to human gathering places, one for harvesting and the other for transportation. Unlike other dangerous sea areas, Li Ziming felt a sense of tranquility in this sea area. After inspecting the surroundings, I didn't see any high-level creatures to be captured, so I guess it's a peaceful area. Flying in the sky, he saw countless golden lights flashing on the island not far away, which became even more dazzling under the sunlight. After taking out my sunglasses and putting them on, I was able to reduce the brightness a little. Afterwards, Li Ziming landed on the island, looked at the golden wheat around him, and began to harvest. I will go back and learn from Grandma Jinai to see if I can replicate the recipe completely, which will make it more convenient for me to eat noodles in the future. Soon, a large area of golden wheat around was also harvested by Li Ziming. After feeling it carefully, he found that there was about 1 ton of wheat, enough for him to eat for a while. However, looking at this field of golden wheat, Li Ziming always felt that he had forgotten something, as if there was something else here besides the golden wheat. After thinking for a long time, Li Ziming still couldn't think of an idea, so he simply put the golden wheat into the backpack. Just as he was about to teleport away, he spotted a bee on the golden wheat not far away. Chapter 96. Li Ziming looked at the hell bees on the golden wheat in surprise and was stunned for a moment. "It's not time yet, how come this hell bee appears?" Logically, it should have appeared before the Four Beasts chapter. Could it be that it was attracted by his good food luck? Li Ziming thought about it and felt that it was possible. After all, his good food luck had always been good. As for this hell bee, Li Ziming had no intention of capturing it. It only served as a guide to lead people to Acacia's kitchen. It is called a kitchen, but in fact it is an ecological zone built by Acacia herself. It not only has various rare ingredients, such as rainbow fruits, gem meat, puffer whales and so on. However, there is an ingredient in it that Li Ziming is very interested in, and that is the Corona sunflower, which is the prop that Acacia seals and the Doom Dragon. Looking back, although the golden Corona sunflower exists as an energy source, he feels that if he cultivates it further, he might be able to eat golden sunflower seeds. There is also the Doom Dragon that was frozen by Acacia. I feel that the meat should be good as well. The key is that its regeneration ability is very strong, which makes it especially suitable for barbecue. And the remains of that place are actually a barbecue grill. In summary, Acacia's ecozone is a family-friendly farm stay, especially suitable for gatherings with friends. As for the location of the ecological zone, it is in the Hunger Triangle of the human world and is surrounded by a mass of weather, so it has not been discovered. But there are people who know, such as Acacia's disciples, but Kilim doesn't know, so he is looking for the hell bee. When I came to my senses, the hell bee was also flying away, and a red line crossed the sky. Golden wheat ends. Li Ziming teleported back home, began to practice food meditation, and waited for the night to fall. As expected, good food must be accompanied by beautiful scenery. Now Toriko and Komatsu, presumably, have reached the vines of the sky plants and are beginning to head towards vegetable heaven. Time passed little by little, and soon it was night. Looking at the starry sky, Li Ziming started to make fried silky fish. Turning around and taking a look, I saw the gourmet food box, with 18 shiny silk-footed fish still swimming sluggishly inside. Walking into the kitchen, Li Ziming started to heat up the oil in a pan and fry the silky fish. Of course, he chose morse oil, which feels very refreshing and contains oleic acid, an unsaturated fatty acid, like high-quality olive oil, but with the mellow aroma of sesame oil. Let the morse oil burn slowly. Li Ziming also took out the golden wheat and began to listen to the sounds of the ingredients. Then he put the golden wheat on the chopping board, took out the kitchen knife, and started to remove the shells and chop them. Filter the golden wheat through a sieve at a frequency of 3 times per second, and you will get a bowl of golden wheat flour. Take out the shiny silk fish from the food preservation box and coat its entire body with golden wheat flour. At this time, the oil temperature rose, and Li Ziming put the prepared shiny silk fish into the morse oil. In an instant, the shiny silk fish that had just been put into the pot began to splash countless oil drops because there was still moisture in its body, and the golden light was overflowing, which was very beautiful. After a few minutes, the pot became quiet, and the golden fried silk fish was ready. Li Ziming feels that after using golden wheat flour, the brightness is even brighter than that produced by Komatsu. So what will the performance be like with the addition of milk stars? Fortunately, he bought a Lifang pot, which was large enough to fry several fish together. However, it still took half an hour to fry the shiny silk fish, and the morse oil did not change at all. It is indeed a good oil that can be recycled. 18 shiny silk foot fish, piled together, were very dazzling. Then he turned off the fire and took them out, ready to taste them together with 1 nylong, 2 dulang and 3 unicorn bears. The fragrant and crispy shimmering silk fish is out of the pot. The animal friends, who were just eating baby popcorn, started drooling as soon as they smelled the aroma. Calling for the somersault cloud, Li Ziming was also preparing to replicate Sunny's operation, eating fish while looking at the starry sky. Soon, they rode on the somersault cloud and soared to a height of several thousand meters. They had a clear view of everything around them and were extremely shocked. What's more, the restaurant is filled with stars in the sky, which is no less than a 10-star restaurant and even more advanced than the restaurant in the food tower. With the addition of the bright light of the glittering silk foot fish, they now look like stars, shining brightly, making people who see them think that the god of food has descended to the world. Sitting on Jinduyun Mountain, Li Ziming also gave his animal friends 1 fish at a time and began to taste the original deliciousness of the shiny silk fish. Seeing them eating so happily, he also took one and started eating. This deep-fried shiny silk fish is very crispy the moment you bite it. It is fried to perfection, and the crispy and fragrant skin is just like eating a freshly baked 1000-layer pancake. Moreover, this shiny silk fish has no fish bones, and the fish meat inside is thick and juicy. With every bite, the deliciousness of the fish meat slowly emanates from the inside. The deep-fried shimmering fish is rich in flavor but light in texture and is so delicious. After a few bites, Li Ziming finished eating the original, golden silk fish. After finishing the original flavor and taking the second one, it's time for the milk star to appear. Li Ziming took out milk stars and sprinkled them on the shining silky fish in full view of everyone. The moment the milk stars were scattered, the golden light was intensified again, and the surrounding sky was also covered with golden light. The fragrance in the air seemed to be sublimated at this moment, becoming more mellow. Li Ziming and his animal friends couldn't stop drooling. He immediately fed one to his friends, then took one himself and started eating. It is still crispy when you put it in your mouth, but the taste has become even more delicious. Milk stars are indeed worthy of the deliciousness of top-grade seasonings. The combination of silver fish meat, golden shell, and milk stars is not only the best combination, but also elevates the light taste of the shiny silk fish. Sure enough, deep-fried shimmering silk fish is perfect for milk stars. At the same time, Li Ziming felt that the cells in his body had evolved, and his long hair also became golden. It turned out that Saiyans had to eat golden ingredients. Soon, the golden color on the somersault cloud began to fade slowly, and the fried shiny silky fish was also eaten up by them. Li Ziming looked at his animal friends and was obviously still unsatisfied, so he planned to take them out to play tomorrow. If you eat too much meat, you should eat vegetables. Chapter 97. The next morning, as the sun rose, Li Ziming got up early. Drinking iced coffee and eating macaron cookies are sweet and delicious. Twist it, soak it, yummy. After a quick meal and a few drinks, Li Ziming walked out of the room. The moment he appeared, his animal companions also stood up. It's not because of anything else, but today is a good day to go out for dinner. Li Ziming let them touch his body, then placed 2 fingers on his head and began to sense the Wulou volcano. Countless scenes and ferocious beasts appeared one by one in his perception, and then Li Ziming sensed a familiar animal, which was the peach-haired beast on the Wu continent. In an instant, Li Ziming brought them to the Wu continent. The vegetable paradise was in the sky near the Wu Lu volcano. The volcanic ash ejected by the Wulou volcano is rich in inorganic salts and a large amount of minerals needed by plants. After rising to high altitudes and freezing, it becomes clouds. Whether it is ordinary food or ozone grass, they all need nutrients in volcanic ash to grow, and then be exposed to wind and sun to become a real vegetable paradise. Calling for the summer salt clouds, Li Ziming rode on them and flew towards the vines of plants in the sky. Soon, they saw huge vines in the sky, just like a fairy tale coming to life. Li Ziming sensed it a little bit and found that Toriko and Komatsu had climbed to an altitude of 6,000 to 7,000 meters without him knowing. It was obvious that they would definitely reach the summit today. Seeing this situation, I think it is because of his early intervention. I just don't know if the lightning phoenix will appear today. Seeing that the two were getting along so well, Li Ziming thought about letting them develop some tacit understanding, and then he brought his animal friends to the vegetable paradise. Based on the nearby scene, the main task is now released, capturing ozone grass. Task reward, 6,000 points. I saw that the place was full of green, and the grass had taken root in the clouds. It was the moment I took my animal friends down there. He felt the extremely soft grass. Even with Li Ziming's weight of several tons, he did not fall down. This shows that the structure here is extremely solid. They were jumping and bumping into each other, having a lot of fun. When Li Ziming saw this, he also laughed. They came here to play today. As we continued walking forward, solid clouds appeared, and there was a faint smell of volcanic ash, which was obviously from the Wulou volcano. After touching it, he found it very soft, so Li Ziming collected a large piece of it, thinking that he could use it to make mattresses, or grow some vegetables near his home. Looking at the vine forest not far away, he led everyone over there. After just 2 steps, they saw a dozen white earthworms. Mineral earthworms, insects below level 1. I touched the white mineral earthworm, it was soft and full of water. This is a small landlord of the field. Wherever it is, both the land and water quality will be purified and decomposed, making the place cleaner and more suitable for plant growth. I think it is because of their existence that this vegetable paradise will continue to exist. They are an important part of the ecosystem. As he walked deeper into the bushes, he was greeted by a freshness unique to vegetables. When he walked out of the bushes, he saw all kinds of vegetables. Giant cabbages, fresh onions, towering cauliflower trees, red tomatoes, and a variety of other vegetables are all available. Everywhere you look, it looks like a vegetable carpet. Before he could react, his animal friends came forward and started eating. Seeing this, Li Ziming immediately joined in. I want to express my gratitude to all the food in the world. Vegetables, I'm going to eat. Li Ziming picked a cucumber and started eating it. It was crisp, full of juice, sweet and refreshing. And because it grew on volcanic ash, it had a light fresh flavor, which made the cucumber taste even more outstanding. As he ate, he felt his skin gradually becoming smooth and elastic, just like a baby's skin. It was indeed fresh because of the freshly picked cucumbers. So good. After eating the cucumbers, it was the turn of the white radishes in the field. I pulled out one, it was a full meter long, heavy, and felt very juicy. He used a trigger to cut open the skin, and the crystal clear radish appeared before his eyes. It was obvious that it was very juicy. Li Ziming took a bite of it directly. It was tender and delicious, especially sweet and refreshing. Every time he chewed it, countless moisture appeared. It felt like he was not eating radish, but drinking radish juice. Moreover, this radish juice is not ordinary radish juice. It feels like Odin soup cooked with kelp. It is particularly delicious and is not inferior to the freshness of fish at all. Eat heartily. Marshmallow pumpkin tastes soft, and the rich pumpkin flavor melts in your mouth. It is very sweet and feels as sweet as honey. The red tomatoes are crisp and juicy. When you eat them, they taste sour and sweet. The key is that the two are perfectly balanced, neither too sour nor too sweet, and very refreshing. While eating tomatoes, Li Ziming saw the bears gnawing on the cauliflower tree. He immediately ran over and hugged the tree and started gnawing. Take a big bite, the cauliflower tastes very crisp, and has a particularly delicious taste, delicate and mellow. Paired with the Thousand Island dressing flowing out of the wound, it feels like eating cauliflower salad, which makes people linger and can't stop. By the time Li Ziming reacted, he and the three bears had already eaten the entire tree. Their appetites instantly whetted, and they began to taste the excess vegetables. The huge green onion was neither spicy nor bitter when eaten raw. It tasted sweet in the mouth and became more delicious the more you chewed it. Li Ziming was instantly immersed in it. As he was eating, he noticed the French fry fountain here, with French fries fried to golden and crispy, piled up together. Li Ziming immediately picked some and started eating them. They were particularly crispy in the mouth, worthy of being a natural French fry spring. Combined with the volcanic ash sprayed from the volcano and the light salty taste, it was impossible to stop eating. While eating French fries, Li Ziming looked at everything around him. The Nilong was gnawing on the cabbage, the fighting wolves were eating corn, and the three bears finished eating the cauliflower and set their sights on the marshmallow pumpkin and tomatoes. Soon, they began to eat voraciously, like locusts entering in country, leaving no trace of the vegetables, all of which went into their stomachs. Soon, they were tired of eating and lay on the ground. Except for Li Ziming himself, the stomachs of his animal companions had swelled many times larger. But what followed was that the body's rapid digestion started, and the animal companions immediately stood up and started looking for a place to relieve themselves. Li Ziming also laughed when he saw this. They still need to practice. They couldn't help eating after eating just a little. But the next second, his stomach started to growl. Dividing line after finishing the treatment, Li Ziming felt his body was particularly light and smooth, but he still needs to eat vegetables regularly. After sensing it, Toriko and Komatsu knew it would take some time for them to come up, so they activated the air dance technique and came to the front of the ozone grass. After eating so many vegetables, you can't miss the king of vegetables. Chapter 98. Ozone grass, vegetable capture level 68. Li Ziming stood in the clouds, looking at the ozone grasses not far away. He felt very good and his body was very relaxed. But there is a skill to capturing these ozone grasses. You just need to pull down the leaves of the ozone grass at the same time. President Yulong asked Toriko to capture ozone grass. One reason was to let Toriko find a partner. After all, out of 100 gourmet hunters, 99 of them couldn't cook. Making Komatsu and Toriko a pair would not only help their growth, but they might even shine in the food industry. Secondly, let Toriko and Komatsu adapt to various cruel environments. After all, the most dangerous things in the food industry are not wild beasts but various sudden climates. As for Li Ziming, he doesn't need it for the time being. After all, he is an all-rounder, and he hasn't met many chefs in the world of gourmet food that satisfy him yet. After all, there are only a few chefs with cooking skills, and they certainly wouldn't be willing to give up everything they have and wander around in the dimensional world with me. Of course, maybe there are some, who knows. Li Ziming looked at the ozone grass in front of him and immediately controlled the trigger to start separating the leaves. At the same time, different leaves were pulled and the ozone grass did not turn into seeds. It was a great success. He began to manipulate the trigger continuously, peeling off the leaves of the ozone grass. 2 leaves were pulled apart, and soon he reached the last 2 leaves. As Li Ziming lifted the last 2 leaves, he saw the appearance of ozone grass. A bunch of rolled leaves appeared in his sight. As the ozone grass stretched out, it splashed countless water. One can imagine how much water it contained. This is the king of vegetables, ozone grass. Li Ziming squatted down to observe and found that the leaves of ozone grass were very full, bouncy, and very thick, feeling like cow tongue. If you look closely, you can see the green leaf veins providing energy to the ozone grass, and you can even hear some subtle sounds. Li Ziming's saliva started to flow when he smelled it a little closer. Although the leaves of the ozone grass emitted a strong odor after absorbing some toxic molecules. But this smell is just like stinky tofu. You will know it the moment you smell it. It smells stinky but tastes delicious. Obviously, this is the case with ozone grass. It is obviously very smelly and pungent, but its ability to arouse appetite is no less than that of stinky tofu. But no matter how much you look at it or smell it, you still have to taste the ozone grass. But even if you want to eat this ozone grass, you have to eat it with 2 people. It can be regarded as a special food for 2 people. But as long as you are strong enough and bite twice in an instant, you can make the ozone grass not notice that it is eaten by a person, and you can still eat the delicious ozone grass. Although Li Ziming has no one around him now, he is strong enough, so he is ready to give it a try. I cut off the roots of the ozone grass with a hand knife and held it in my hand. It was ready to try and bit twice in an instant. Complete the main mission and capture the ozone grass. Task reward, 6,000 points. Li Ziming concentrated his mind and stared at the ozone grass. In a flash, 2 wounds appeared on the leaves of the ozone grass. If you slow down the video, you will find that Li Ziming was so fast that 2 heads appeared and bit the ozone grass almost at the same time. Kaz. The thick leaves of ozone grass have a strong crunchy texture when put into the mouth, and you can feel its strong elasticity when your teeth touch it. Bite hard, the solid fiber of ozone grass. Every time you chew it, you will not only feel incomparable happiness and joy, but also the refreshing taste that spreads. No wonder President Yulong said that ozone grass is a delicious and fun ingredient. It turns out to be true. Li Ziming enjoyed chewing the ozone grass, but as he swallowed it, his body shook violently, revealing his 8-pack abs. It is indeed an ingredient that the red ghost likes. Although it is not what the Saiyan giant ape likes, it also satisfies the cells. This is ozone grass. As he said that, Li Ziming was about to finish eating the rest of the ozone grass, but looking at the ozone grass in his hand, although it was very delicious and he was strong enough, it was a bit troublesome to eat. Looking at the ozone grass in his hand, recalling the request to eat it, an idea suddenly came to his mind. Li Ziming was seen folding the ozone grass along the middle vein, turning it into 2 slices of bread similar to a hamburger, except there was nothing in the middle. Then he took a bite of the ozone grass. As expected, just as Li Ziming thought, after taking a bite, 2 pieces of leaf flesh entered his mouth, and the ozone grass did not deteriorate. Isn't this a simplified version of how to eat ozone grass? Even if a person is not strong, he can still enjoy its deliciousness. Li Ziming feels like a genius. He quickly ate the ozone grass in his mouth and hands, and prepared to capture some more ozone grass to give to others or keep for himself. He remembered that this thing could also be used to make tea, so he could ask Grandma Jino or President Yulong about it later. Soon after, Li Ziming captured the surrounding ozone grass, put it into a food storage box, and then put it into his backpack. At this time, the animal friends also found this side. 1 Nilong, 2 Dalang, and 3 Unicorn Bear drooled when they saw the ozone grass in his hand. Li Ziming smiled when he saw this. He picked so many just to eat them. Then he took the ozone grass and came to them. The Nilong is easy to deal with. It has 2 heads, which is just enough to eat 1 ozone grass. There are also 2 fighting wolves, and 1 mouthful of ozone grass for each wolf is just right. As for the 3 bears, Li Ziming wanted to let the 2 bears eat together, but at this moment, Big Bear waved his hand, indicating that Second Bear and Wang Gang should eat. In this case, Li Ziming simply taught Big Bear how a bear could eat ozone grass. Then Li Ziming turned around and looked at Wang Gang standing beside him. He was dressed in Snow White and was bigger than Big Bear and Little Bear. In that case, he had to change his name. You'll be called Tuanzi from now on. Hearing this, Tuanzi, who was next to Xiang Er, blinked instantly and then shouted, indicating that he understood. Although I don't know why the name was changed, as long as there is food, it's fine. Orcs will never be slaves, but he provides food and accommodation, and the food is so delicious. Soon, Li Ziming saw that they were eating happily, so he took out a piece of ozone grass and started eating it. But as he was eating, Li Ziming was surprised to find that the clouds below began to darken. After some sensing, they found that cumulonimbus clouds had appeared. Toriko and Komatsu had already started their sprint. Once they crossed this last hurdle, they would be able to land in the vegetable paradise. But what interested Li Ziming was not this, but that he sensed that along with the appearance of the cumulonimbus clouds, there was also a golden bird. That is, the lightning phoenix. Chapter 99. At this moment, Toriko and Komatsu looked up at the cumulonimbus clouds appearing in the sky and were very shocked. The dark cumulonimbus cloud floating above their heads looked like a monster, opening its mouth waiting for their arrival. With the appearance of cumulonimbus clouds, lightning and hurricanes also appeared above, which was no weaker than the scene on the ice continent. Toriko asked Komatsu to put on an oxygen mask, which contained an oxygen leaf, a leaf that grew from an oxygen tree and was very rare. Only a tiny amount of light is needed for photosynthesis, and one leaf can maintain oxygen supply for a month. The occasional lightning flash from cumulonimbus clouds is enough to allow the oxygen leaves to carry out photosynthesis. Li Ziming was on top at the moment, looking at Toriko and Komatsu below. He smiled with relief, thinking that it wouldn't be long before they would come up. After all, he had taught them breathing techniques in the ice continent before, and combined with Toriko shivering, it would allow Komatsu on his back to feel warm and avoid being frostbitten. In addition, the food luck of the two combined also attracted the Lightning Fire Phoenix. Lightning Fire Phoenix, Birds and Beasts Capture Level 75. Li Ziming smiled as he looked at the Lightning Phoenix that appeared. This was the one he had been waiting for. With its golden appearance, it looked like it would be a suitable mount for him. If Yulong can't get his unicorn, then he must get such a handsome Lightning and Fire Phoenix. But now is not the time yet. I saw the Lightning Fire Phoenix rushing down from the cumulonimbus cloud. Wherever it goes, thunderstorms, hurricanes and hail disappear. It seems that its ability should not be underestimated. Then the Lightning Fire Phoenix flew past the two of them. Toriko was very happy to see the Lightning Fire Phoenix appear, and immediately stepped forward and plucked one of its feathers. The key point is that the Lightning Fire Phoenix has not objected. It is conceivable how powerful their protagonist Halo and Food Luck are. Seeing the Lightning Phoenix leave, Toriko and Komatsu also have feathers to protect them from wind, rain, and lightning, so reaching the summit should not be a problem. But what are waiting for them are their animal friends at home. I wonder what expression Toriko will have when she sees them. At this time, Li Ziming teleported to the body of the Lightning Fire Phoenix. Hello, Lightning Phoenix, how about being my mount? I'll provide you with food and lodging. I'll take you to the world of gourmet food and have you beat up your ancestors. Shoo! Go down! The Lightning Phoenix, upon noticing Li Ziming's presence, immediately wanted to throw him off. What kind of person was he to dare to stand on top of it? After Li Ziming noticed the situation of the Lightning Phoenix, he also sighed. The conditions he offered were so good, why was it always like this? I didn't want to use force, but the Lightning Phoenix didn't accept it, so I could only use my fists to speak. If fists don't work, then he wants to try what this Lightning Fire Phoenix tastes like. Unexpectedly, Li Ziming only released a little bit of pressure, and the Lightning Fire Phoenix instantly became obedient, and even its body flew steadily. Choo choo choo, master, look at this speed, isn't it good? Looking at the Lightning Phoenix whose attitude changed 180 degrees in an instant, Li Ziming was very puzzled. Logically speaking, his strength was strong, but it shouldn't be that strong that he couldn't withstand a little bit of pressure. Puzzled, Li Ziming asked it what was going on. Chirp chirp chirp, master, I also felt the pressure you exerted on me in the past few days. As soon as you released a little, I remembered it. After pondering the meaning of the Lightning Phoenix, Li Ziming understood. It turned out that when he was fighting with President Yulong before, the whole world felt the million combat power he released. Since the Lightning and Fire Phoenix felt it, the 8 kings from the gourmet world, the people from the Neo organization, and the Neteros must have felt it as well. But it doesn't matter. I'm bored anyway, so anyone can come. People from Neo organization came, but they never came back. Now Netero is here, so it's just a good opportunity to try out what's on his plate. Coming back to his senses, looking at the flattering Lightning Fire Phoenix in front of him, there was a huge contrast between it and its sacred appearance. Even Li Ziming was stunned. However, looking at the lightning feather crest on his head, Li Ziming was speechless. Is this definitely not Pikachu's tail? It looks exactly like Pikachu's tail. Okay, since you call me master, then I will accept you. Follow me, and from now on you will be the bird king among the 8 kings of the gourmet world. Choo choo choo, okay, thank you, master. Then Li Ziming came to the top of the Lightning Phoenix's head, looked at the glittering golden lightning feather crown, and grabbed it on a whim. Dragon Sword. The channel is out of tune. But I have to say, standing on the top of the Lightning Fire Phoenix, it has a very demon hero legend vibe, especially the golden feather crown on the top of the head, which can be used as a dragon ascending sword, but it cannot be taken off. But it doesn't matter, as long as I can control it. Go to Veggie Heaven. Shoo. Good master. Just like that, Li Ziming successfully subdued the Lightning Fire Phoenix and flew towards the vegetable paradise. Soon, they arrived at the vegetable paradise and saw Toriko and Komatsu, who had also arrived here. However, they were stunned by the scene in front of them. They were actually here, and saw 1 Nilong, 2 Dalang and 3 Unicorn Bear, who came here and were waiting for the two of them. Toriko also thought that it should be Li Ziming who brought them here, but what about him? Toriko, Komatsu. Hearing the voice, they immediately turned around and looked at Li Ziming, who was standing handsomely on top of the lightning fire phoenix, with a ray of holy light behind him. When Toriko and Komatsu saw it, they were stunned for a moment. My god, he is so handsome. You actually subdued the lightning fire phoenix. When did that happen? So handsome. Hey, Mr. Li Ziming, you are so awesome. Just after you plucked its feathers, I liked the golden look of it. How cool is that? Looking at the two of them, Li Ziming laughed in his heart. This is the B style. Handsome is just a word, and I will pretend for once. However, looking at Komatsu's appearance, his face actually seemed a little old. Apparently, the impact of coming here was still too great for Komatsu. The same was true for Toriko. It was obvious that he had used up most of his energy climbing up. So Li Ziming simply took them to the vegetable paradise. When they saw everything in front of them, they were stunned again. Countless vegetables came into view, making their stomachs growl. After all, they had tasted the delicious vegetables in the food tower, and the texture and taste were just as good as meat. Seeing this, Li Ziming also stretched out his hand and said, "Welcome to Vegetable Paradise." Just as Li Ziming was taking the two of them to taste the delicious vegetables, a creature with a pointed beak and covered in hair also came over here. Yes, it's Netero. Chapter 100. Li Ziming brought Toriko and Komatsu and they also ate fresh vegetables. Komatsu ate a fresh cucumber, and his skin instantly went from being full of wrinkles to being young again. His skin also became as soft and smooth as a baby's. Soon, the two of them ate from south to north, from east to west, and all the vegetables along the way were eaten into their stomachs. Li Ziming saw it but laughed in his heart. Wait a moment, eat more. I hope you brought tissues. While the two were enjoying the meal, Li Ziming came to the lightning fire phoenix and stared at his feathers. The whole lightning phoenix had an ominous feeling, and sure enough, the next second, Li Ziming started plucking its feathers. Looking at the glittering golden feathers, Li Ziming suddenly had a bold idea, which was to use the feathers of the lightning fire phoenix to make an armor that would be windproof, rainproof, and lightning-proof. I think the clothes made of it should have some effect, and they are shining with golden light. When you wear them, you will become a gold saint. Li Ziming feels happy just thinking about it. I'll lend you a few feathers to make some clothes. Choo-choo, okay, master, please do as you please. Oh, I plucked a few more feathers and that was enough. After all, 1 feather was 2 meters high, and 5 or 6 feathers were enough to make a piece of clothing. I just don't know who to look for. I can ask President Yulong later, or ask the second generation Meld to see if there is anyone he knows. Customize a Gold Saint's outfit as your own combat uniform, and then transform into a Super Saiyan. Oh, that's too much. When I came to my senses, the two people over there had also eaten and drunk their fill and were lying on the grass to rest. The next second, their stomachs began to growl, and after looking at each other, they separated and each found a place to relieve themselves. Li Ziming looked at the vegetable sky in front of him. Although he had the right time, place, and people, it still felt a bit messy. His desire to farm reached its peak at this moment. After thinking about it, Li Ziming decided to treat this place as his second home and build a house here. Then ask Tom to buy some seeds, ask Director Mansum for some small animals, and organize the planting area properly to turn it into a real vegetable paradise. Just when Li Ziming was planning for the future, Komatsu's scream suddenly came from the other side. When I looked over, I realized that Komatsu had seen countless ozone grasses, which was why he discovered the sound. Soon, Toriko also arrived here. Seeing the ingredients that President Yulong entrusted him to catch, he was very excited. Excitedly, he jumped onto the ozone grass and began to peel off its leaves to capture the ozone grass. Unexpectedly, as soon as Toriko went over, he smelled a strong pungent smell, which made him cry. It stinks, it's so pungent, it feels like insecticide has been sprayed into my nose. Seeing this scene, Li Ziming also laughed. Fortunately, he did not have as keen a sense of smell as Toriko, otherwise he would have ended up in the same situation as him. But Toriko soon got used to it, then lifted up a leaf and prepared to pull it down. At this moment, Komatsu on the side suddenly felt something was wrong and hurriedly asked Toriko to stop, but it was still a step too late. Pululu, the ozone grass in Toriko's hand, instantly sprayed out countless air currents, then gradually shrank in size and finally turned into a seed. Seeing this, Ziming took Komatsu over and said to the two people, "This ozone grass is a super special capture ingredient, and it's also a super special tasting ingredient. Think carefully about how to capture it. And Komatsu, remember to listen to the sounds of the ingredients." After hearing what Ziming said, Toriko and Komatsu were thoughtful. Komatsu then came to another ozone grass, closed his eyes, touched it with his hands, and listened carefully to the sound of the ingredients. This allowed Komatsu to actually hear the sound of the ozone grass and obtain a method to capture the ozone grass. "Mr. Toriko, it looks like the ozone grass wants us to pull its leaves apart together. Is this true? Let's give it a try. Besides, didn't Mr. Ziming say that this ozone grass is a super special capture ingredient, and it's also a super special tasting ingredient? Okay, come on." The two of them immediately climbed up the ozone grass, preparing to pull down the leaves of the ozone grass together. After some attempts, they really found a way. After successfully pulling off 2 leaves, the ozone grass did not turn into seeds. The two gained confidence and continued with the previous operation. A few minutes later, after the efforts of both of them, they successfully pulled open the last leaf, revealing the green and thick ozone herb. Seeing this scene, they were also very excited. They finally saw ozone grass. It was really exciting. For a moment, the two of them actually started to be polite and both wanted the other to take the first bite. Ziming was furious when he saw this. It was obvious that they had forgotten what he had said. Cough, cough, cough. When the two heard the cough, they immediately turned around and saw Ziming. The moment they saw him, they remembered what he had said before. A thought emerged in their minds at this moment. This ozone grass, does it mean that 2 people have to eat it together? As they talked, the two of them prepared to give it a try, and if they failed they could just try again. Counting down to 3, 2, and 1, Toriko and Komatsu also took a bite of the ozone grass. Just as they thought, it really requires 2 people to eat together. Seeing this, Ziming on the side nodded with satisfaction. They are indeed the best partners. The next second, as Toriko swallowed the ozone grass, the gourmet cells in his body also evolved. Just like cooking a dish, the ozone grass was the last ingredient he was missing. Toriko thought of many things in an instant, including but not limited to President Yulong's request and the unique use of ozone grass. After looking at Komatsu and then at Ziming, I had the answer in my mind. "Hey, Komatsu, would you like to partner up with me and create the best menu of life together?" Komatsu was stunned when he heard Toriko's words. He recalled every detail of his encounter with him, the adventures, the cooking, the meals, etc., and he had the answer in his mind. "Of course, please give me your guidance, Mr. Toriko. Congratulations! I knew you two were a perfect match." Ziming, who was watching this scene, also offered his blessings for the birth of the best partner. "Look at this ozone grass that you bit off, doesn't it look like a heart?" The two looked at each other and found that they really looked a bit alike, but somehow, they felt a little annoyed. "But why are you two eating together? I'm so angry, Komatsu, have you forgotten to listen to the sounds of the ingredients?" "Ha, what do you mean?" Ziming took out a piece of ozone grass directly from his backpack, folded it in half, and took a bite, getting double satisfaction. Komatsu was dumbfounded when he saw this scene. Oh, it was possible like this, then he was eating with Toriko just now. Just as the two were dumbfounded, Anetaro came behind them.
If you're enjoying the story so far and want to hear the next parts, don't forget to like the video. It really helps the channel grow. And if you'd like me to continue the series, drop a comment below letting me know. Your feedback and support keep these audiobooks going strong. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.